Chapter 5270. Huh. An ancient secret recipe for animal skins appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. This recipe, you can check it out. Jian Wushuang's eyes rolled round, staring at the ancient secret recipe. After watching for a long time, then shook his head. Senior, this cannot read it. He can understand ancient scripts. But this ancient secret recipe seems to be not ancient scripts. But it is probably a special script of a certain ethnic group. He didn't know any of the runes above. If he knows one or two, he can still deduce the content of the show. Qiu Huang patted his forehead and said embarrassingly, "Haha, I am always confused. This is the text of the giant gods. Of course you don't know it. Those big fools have long since disappeared in the starry sky." Giants. The super-ethnic group that was once also in the starry sky had a glorious period. In the long river of time and space, their glorious time was very short, like a meteor sliding down. And it was just a moment of strength. On the yellowed animal skin, a dark yellow halo was slowly emitted. Jian Wushuang quickly mastered the runes of the giant god race according to Qiu Huang's annotations, and quickly understood this ancient secret method. Death and live. After Jian Wushuang figured it out, he breathed a little urge. This secret method is simply crazy. Shatter the original divine body, and recast a new one. Get cash, follow VX. Public Book Friends Base Camp. You can also get cash. If this is not mastered well, the divine body is really broken, unable to condense, and people will have to waste. No wonder it's lost. Your kid is also considered lucky, and I ran into the old man. If others really can't come up with this secret method. Qiu Huang sat on the throne and said with complacency. Jian Wushuang nodded quickly, and Qiu Huang interrupted as soon as he was about to thank him. You kid, don't get me wrong. This ancient secret recipe is not given to you for nothing. You must first swear not to spread it, and then pay me 1 million treasure points. Qiu Huang continued. Although I am very optimistic about you, this is the temple of Qishan. Everything must be fair. If it is outside, I will really give it to you. This is natural. The younger generation is already very grateful to the senior for being able to come up with this secret recipe. Jian Wushuang was a little excited. God body. He wanted to improve a long time ago. This time he took the opportunity to restore the divine body, and he could strengthen it once. And it was an ancient secret recipe, which was not within the exchange range of the treasure hall. Only 2 million treasure points not only restores the divine body, but also strengthens the divine body. This transaction is not a loss. Well, you don't have to thank me too much. I've been in a good mood recently. I'll give you some benefits. It's nothing. After figuring out this formula, Jian Wushuang can understand that this is not a benefit. The secret recipe of the giant gods. Although he doesn't know much about the giant gods, he can know according to the formula that the strongest place of this group is the body. Judging from the summary above, the newborn baby of the giant tribe has 1,000 times the divine body, which can be comparable to some weak and special beings. For example, Jian Wushuang is a half-hearted special life. Once grown up, there will be 5,000 times as many divine bodies, which can be comparable to the powerful and special beings in the universe. Only grown-ups can have such a powerful divine body by eating or cultivating, and it is still a race, not a unique and special life. This is terrible. In the giant clan, there are still some horrors, with a body that is over 10,000 times larger. The more Jian Wushuang understood, the more incredible it was. Direct exchange now. Senior, my origin. Jian Wushuang's origin appeared, and a brilliant column of air was undoubtedly revealed. Qiu Huang frowned. Your origin, don't seem to be injured either. In his opinion, the dying immortal Jian Wushuang, who has never finished a realm, possesses such a huge source, in itself, has surpassed the limit. Although he felt weaker than before, he really had to look at it with the naked eye, but he really couldn't see it. He didn't know how to repair it for a while. He exploded a thought of the universe, and his thought power had reached a state where it could not spread, and he had been seriously injured. Especially the ultimate kendo, let alone breakthrough now. The sword is about to be unstable. Seeing Qiu Huang's doubts, he understood. They couldn't see his extreme way. They obviously couldn't see through himself. Let him give pointers. It's better to exchange some original treasures and repair them. Junior's kendo. This time it was hurt a bit. It was almost breaking through. Jian Wushuang deliberately turned off the topic, knowing that he had just said something wrong. Well, it's almost meaningless. I said why your origin is weaker than before. Qiu Huang nodded, waved out countless treasures and continued. In origin, I really don't know much yourself. Look at the pic. Enlightenment flower. Essential fruit. Emperor's luck. There were so many treasures that Jian Wushuang's eyes were dazzled, and he didn't find the treasure to restore Jidao. The other side flower. 50,000 treasure points. The ultimate treasure blooming in the long river of time and space. The emperors are crazy about it. The bien flower in the treasure hall can only be exchanged for the pollen in the bien flower, not a complete bien flower. Looking at it again, Jian Wushuang said in a daze. Pollen? Is it still exchanged by one? This is too outrageous. The flowers and leaves above are still non-exchangeable treasures, and can only be exchanged for pollen. But its effect is also the biggest. The legendary flower of the other bank is a magical treasure floating in the long river of time and space. One flower will cause countless emperors to fight, and one flower will give birth to several top emperors and powerful men. A complete flower of the other shore can give birth to a sixth-order emperor. Jian Wushuang still doesn't quite understand the meaning of the sixth-order emperor, but he knows one thing, that there is no sixth-order emperor in the entire primitive universe. He had never heard of the existence of the sixth-order emperor. The strongest is the fifth-order ultimate emperor. If this other shore flower appears outside the temple of Qishan, I am afraid its attractiveness is even more terrifying than the temple of Qishan. After all, the Qishan temple was illusory. When it was opened, although it caused the primordial universe to oscillate, it was never heard of other universe powerhouses coming to the primitive universe. The other side flower. Even Qiu Huang was moved, his eyes slightly changed, and his voice became heavy and said, This other side flower should be the only one in the temple of Qishan. This was obtained by the former existence. Shi and Zhu Yidian the Lord's feelings were very good, and he gave it to the Lord Zhu Yi before he fell. Qiu Huang's eyes were reminiscent. The peerless existence who broke the city with a sword, the existence of the sixth-order Zogshan, was only half a step away from the true peak. But it was a pity that he eventually fell. Jian Wushuang pondered carefully, and finally he gritted his teeth, and directly exchanged 20 pollen from the other shore flower. For a flower on the other side, the ghost knows how many pollen there are. For an ordinary flower, there is too much pollen on the top. You didn't make a mistake. The pollen of Bianhua is stronger than you think. Treasure it. Qiu Huang swiped his finger, a dark red wooden box, and flew towards Jian Wushuang. Open the box, there are 20 nail-sized pollen floating in it, colorless and tasteless. Chapter 5271. Jian Wushuang's naked eyes are so powerful that a drop of water can differentiate into hundreds of millions of particles. But when he looks at these pollen, he can't even see the internal structure. A trace of thought power envelopes the pollen, and after careful study, it turned that trace of thought power into a vast ocean for a time. Good baby. One thought of the universe, one thought of flowers blooming. The two have the same effect. It's a pity that only flowers are obtained, and the pollen of the other side flower is the worst. If a petal can be plucked, it will be much more useful. Both Ji Dao and Sword Dao can break through, and it can also make the power of mind soar. Senior. Jian Wushuang resisted the excitement and wanted to ask. Qiu Huang waved his hand quickly and said, Stop it. I can give you the secret recipe in private. It is my personal possession. Don't worry about the idea of bien flower. If it can be exchanged, it is not something you can exchange. Yes, don't forget. There is also the emperor of your primitive universe in the temple of Qishan. If it weren't for the true spirit to establish the Senate Palace, his status would rise, and the ancient secret recipe would not be able to give Jian Wushuang. This is already a bad rule, and Bianhua really can't give it. This is Zhu Yi's treasure, the treasure left by Zhu Yi, let alone Dian. Even the emperor wants to exchange it. After all, the Suzaku Palace is in charge of Dian Immortal, and the emperor is not a member of the Suzuka Palace. Now the four great secret realms have established the Yuan Lao Palace, which has divided the power of the four halls. It is too difficult to exchange treasures from them, especially it is an ultra vires exchange. Jian Wushuang also knew how precious it was, so he was just asking about it. But when he heard the news about the emperor, he asked curiously, "Senior, those emperors exist, are they? They are in a much worse situation than you. Although you are in the primitive world, they face more dangers than you, and they get very few treasures. It can even be said that there is no treasure for them at all. It's just a chance, and you have to work hard, you have to cherish it." Qiu Huang was right. These emperors did not have any rewards on treasures. Climbing Mayan Mountain will help them to some extent in their cultivation, but halfway through, they confronted a group of devouring demons at the fourth order emperor level. They are still facing each other, and want to go to the top of the mountain. It is difficult. Unless it is a fifth order emperor. On the Mayan Mountain, there is still a demon lord, the sixth order existence. Although restrained by suppression, it can separate hundreds of clones. Each clone has Tier 5 combat power on the top of the mountain, and Tier 4 combat power on the mountainside. The emperor of the primitive universe. The strongest is only the fourth order peak. Even if the wind and rain dominates the ion, it is only the fourth order limit state. It is too difficult to reach the top. In Qiu Huang's view, these emperors were pitiful enough, something nobody wanted. When they hadn't come out before, it was possible that the Qishan Temple would still keep these people as a messenger, and were responsible for running the Qishan Temple. Now it seems that even the miscellaneous functions are useless. Maybe that day will become cannon fodder. The Temple of Qishan is an ancient inheritance of collection inheritors. It has never been prepared for emperors, but for those who evolve immortals. Of course, from the perspective of Qishan Temple, Yanxian and Dianxian are no different, but they are more optimistic about Yanxian. The earlier you train, the better you will be able to emerge. This is why abandon those emperors and powerful. It can't be said that it is completely abandoned. Maybe a few will be screened out and pretended to be. Jian Wushuang originally thought that those strong emperors would directly accept the inheritance after entering the Temple of Qishan. After all, they were emperors. Everyone is a powerful person with great luck. And now it seems that the Temple of Qishan simply looks down on these people. But fortunately, at least Jian Wushuang now knows that Qishan Temple will focus on cultivating them, not those emperors. I have exchanged the treasure of 3 million treasure points, and I don't even frown. Boy, you are very bold. Qiu Huang played with it. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly and said directly, "As for the improvement of strength, the juniors are here to stay. The most precious thing is nothing outside of the body." Then Jian Wushuang once again learned about the casting plan of the best physical body. Are you thinking about creating a superior physical body? The corner of Jian Wushuang's mouth moved, and he still asked, "Senior, the younger generation has the eyes of the candle dragon, which can raise the physical body to 10,000 times the level. I wonder what will happen to the best quality physical body." As soon as this remark came out, Qiu Huang, who was well informed, was a little surprised. No one really tried this, and he was not easy to answer. But finally I thought of a little. How to sharpen the physical body overnight. Even the top treasures, it will take 100 years. Could it be possible that the eye of the candle dragon could maintain 10,000 times the divine body for 100 years without stopping? This is obviously impossible. Qiu Huang informed Jian Wushuang of this, and advised him to give up the super-grade flesh body. After all, it was just the flesh body. It is better to concentrate all the energy on the divine body. The divine body and origin are the most important. Please help me. Mimi Reading app can steal book tickets like stealing food. Come steal the book tickets of your friends and vote for me. In Qiu Huang's view, the origin of Jian Wushuang is already enough. It is easy to prepare for the improvement of the divine body, with the tens of millions of treasures on Jian Wushuang. It is easy to raise the basic divine body to 5,000 times. After entering the 4 secret realms, you can also upgrade the basic divine body. In case the old man with horns can really restore the origin of space in the beast gods, the future domain of the beasts can be strengthened. 5,000 times the basic divine body, plus the beast god domain, it is easy to break through 10,000 times the divine body. 1,000 times the body. Qiu Huang couldn't do it back then. Peerless powerhouses who can break through 10,000 times the divine body, no matter they use external force or some special beings, they are extremely against the sky. It can be said that they are of the same level, not worse than those ultimate ways. Of course, these need the corresponding secret method to assist. Just like among those emperors, the ultimate emperor that the true spirit would like is the ultimate emperor. But let the four halls choose and even let them evaluate. Emperor Chishui's potential is also very amazing, and the Temple of Qishan can help him break through. Once he becomes a fifth-order emperor plus the ultimate secret technique, his strength can be nearly invincible at the same level, and the divine body can break through again. Simply following the line of the body, you can also break through the 10,000 laws with one force and become the strongest. Jian Wushuang was originally a strong man who took the ultimate source. If he set foot on the line of the body, his future would be limitless, and he was no worse than the Hui Qing that Zhen Ling fancied. There is no need to build a physical body at all. Jian Wushuang also understood that he had walked too much, but his body was too important to him. Once the physical body is immortal, his close combat will once again increase several times. The sword master kills. This is the main road of attack. The divine body is like water in a container, and the physical body is that container. Once the physical body is strong enough, his divine body can also rise faster. This is undeniable, but no one will be as extravagant as him, or look so far away. After all, even if the physical body is raised 5,000 times, the container is still put down. Chapter 5272. Senior, I have decided. The flesh is related to my own combat power. The current Temple of the Gods is a battleground. Improve combat power without delay. After every fight, he had to increase his combat power significantly, otherwise he would be thrown off at any time. Wanxing and Huiqing's combat power had already surpassed him by a lot. In this ranking, Huiqing surpassed him, and Wanxing was biting to death. If he hadn't thought of the universe, he wouldn't be ranked so high. Based on the real combat power, Huiqing and Wanxing are now much stronger than him. His current strength is half the emperor, and he can do his best to match the emperor, but it is not enough now. In just a few decades, the former half-step emperor can now be comparable to the emperor, and the former Taoist now has a half-step emperor's combat power, and there are even some powerful men with great potential. The strong. This is only the second stage. Jian Wushuang was comparable to the 9th rank consummation when he came in, and his current combat power has improved very fast. So Huiqing can be comparable to him. Can't be the first. What he wants is the number 1, and even surpasses all others. The difference in Tao should also be reflected. After mastering the extreme way, he should have been 10 times and 100 times stronger than the same rank. But now in the same rank, Huiqing is stronger than him. Ji Chaoyang has no inheritance, and can become a Taoist monarch by relying solely on the original Tao. Once the realm is complete, can it be improved, plus the inheritance in the future, he will at least have the combat power comparable to the emperor. Struggle. In a world of great controversy, the fight for opportunities depends on strength, not potential. With the exception of Huiqing, he could be spotted, and there was a 1 in a billion chance that Jian Wushuang would not dare to gamble, that the senior officials of the Qishan Temple would like him. He is more willing to rely on his strength to fight for it. Senior supergrade physical body. I still need to exchange for treasures that increase the basic divine body. During the conversation with Qiu Huang, he learned the real difficulty of tempering the supergrade physical body. In purgatory, struggle for thousands of years. Refine every drop of blood and every piece of flesh into one body. At that time, his entire physical body will be immortal. 10,000 years? Jian Wushuang was a little surprised. Wouldn't it be enough for 100 years? Boy! The super-quality flesh body has 9 refinements, and the 9-strength super-quality physical body takes 7,000 years at the fastest and tens of thousands of years. I think you have a good foundation. saying that 10,000 years is short enough. As Qiu Huang said, he planned a large number of treasures together. There are many treasures needed for the supergrade physical body, and it is not certain whether it can be made. It is not as good as refining the superior physical body, which takes a short time and consumes little, and it does not take as long as 10,000 years, which consumes energy, and money. Then there, Wanian Spacetime House. Jian Wushuang said. Of course, the entire Temple of the Gods is actually a spacetime house. We have a year here, and the outside world is 10,000 years. If the flow of time is the same as the outside world, then the controllers of the Temple of the Gods will be crazy. Jian Wushuang was stunned. It was the first time he had heard of such a large spacetime house for 1 year in the Qishan Temple and thousands of years outside. The flow rate he wanted became slower. The flow rate of the Qishan Temple was 10,000 times that of the outside world, and the spacetime house became much simpler. As long as it tens of thousands of times the spacetime house, using the time origin of the Temple of Qishan, it can bless tens of thousands of times, and the sum of the two is 1 billion times the flow rate. Seeing Jian Wushuang's worries, Qiu Huang comforted. Even if it is 100,000 years, sometimes the empty house will help you get it done, and it will definitely not affect your next trial. By the way, this time you have a 1-month break. The following trials will subvert the previous model. Before it was all screening, and then it's tempering. What Qiu Huang said was similar to what he had guessed, and he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. If it were not for infinite stacking, he would really have the confidence to pass 19 levels. After finishing all the necessary treasures and even the space-time house, Jian Wushuang took out the token, glanced at the remaining treasures, and couldn't help but be speechless. Almost 14 million treasure points, and spent more than 2 million. It took 3 million to restore strength, and restore the original treasures, and the remaining over 8 million were all spent on the supergrade divine body. He had exchanged all the treasures of the 9 supergrade refinements. According to Qiu Huang, the 6th refinement was a success, and he could return the remaining treasures if he couldn't hold it later. If you can't hold it for the first 6 times, it also means a failure, and the treasures can't be returned by then. Moreover, the super-quality physical body needs to go to other spaces, and someone will come to pick him up later. With the heavy treasures, I left the treasure hall, and planned to go to the treasure hall to see the old man with horns, but now there is no time. When I saw Wanqing, he also came out of the treasure hall. It is estimated that he also learned that there was a 1-month gap, so he stepped forward and took the initiative to start a conversation with Jian Wushuang. Wanqing, what about the power of the eternal treasure? Jian Wushuang asked curiously. Although it is an imitation, it can be said to be the eternal treasure of imitation. Even the emperor does not have it. Of course he is curious. Not only he is curious, it is estimated that everyone is curious. Wanqing Tiandi, with a strong breath exuding between his eyebrows, he handed it around, and there was a large golden seal surrounded by 8 silver dragons in his hand. The swimming silver dragon above roared from time to time, and his power was undoubtedly revealed. It is indeed a rare treasure. I praised it on the face, but in my heart I was extremely sorry. How could it not be a sword? Wanqing's luck is indeed good and outrageous. Jian Wushuang has heard of it. He originally used seals. The emperor's unique learning he cultivated is also very consistent with this big seal. All of this is God's will, or the Temple of Qishan did it deliberately. It's all foreign objects. Treasures that can increase the foundation are the key. Wanqing Tiandi's eyes were firm, and he put away the 8 directions of Yunlong Yin. There is nothing wrong with what he said, but it will definitely feel contempt for others to hear it. Jian Wushuang could understand Wanqing. In the future, it will be the ultimate way, or the world where all the ways are one. After all, the original school is the mainstream, and if the Temple of Qishan cultivates those Dian immortals who walk in the body, they will also have a share. Of these 3 paths, 10,000 stars do not occupy one. He has reached the limit, and further down is to take the original path and elevate the path to perfection. But the second grade original Tao, no matter how perfect it is, It will be weaker than the ultimate Tao in the future. His only way out now is to embark on the line of the body. But the divine body route, the necessary inheritance is not available at all. And I can only use treasures to hit the divine body multiple. Wanqing had the strength to smash it, but this was not a solution. Thousands of times it's okay. The Temple of Qixin has that background. But if you want to break 10,000 times, it's not that simple. If you don't break 10,000 times, you can't do that. The two chatted for a few words, and then they separated. Jian Wushuang didn't conceal it either. He said directly that he wanted to cultivate a super-grade physical body, especially when he heard that he spent more than 8 million to cultivate the illusory body. And he couldn't increase the strength of the body. It was also extremely surprised. Chapter 5273. I'm afraid that the entire primordial world is just as extravagant as Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang also had his own plans. With regard to the divine body, he didn't plan to go to the extreme from the beginning. His advantage is to follow the original path, but he can't walk now. It's better to cultivate the physical body to consummation first, especially the immortality of the supergrade physical body, which is full of temptation. As long as one hair, it can be restored. Even a single breath can condense a clone. This is simply what he dreamed of. Life-saving always comes first. You can fight if you have fate. In terms of the divine body, he has the domain of the beast gods. And this is really not anxious. This time, his basic divine body is expected to be 3,000 times, which is considered a small achievement, plus the beast domain. It can also be about 10,000 times. And it happens to be able to cultivate a supergrade physical body. After returning to the wall, he discovered that there was no one on the wall. That's right. Many people have entered the space-time house within a month, ready to fight hard. If you can advance to the extreme Dian Immortal, you can fight again. Without the combat power of the extreme Dian Immortal, you will wait to die if you stay. They are also shocked by the 9th wave now, afraid that this kind of superimposed test will continue to grow in the future. Looking at the dark turmoil outside the city, Jian Wushuang's eyes turned, and there was a little resonance with it. A pair of scarlet eyes flashed, but disappeared into the darkness in an instant. Jian Wushuang could see clearly, frowning slightly. The trace of thought power just now was wrapped in a message that was passed on. He couldn't understand it. It should be the language of devouring demon lord. Do these devourers find that I am the same as them? Jian Wushuang was shocked. Cold sweat broke out from behind instantly. And if this is the case, I'm afraid the high level of Qixin Temple will find it too. Maybe it has already been discovered. Looking at how the Qixin Temple treats these devourers, it is obvious that they are treated as monsters, and they have the power to devour them. This association made Jian Wushuang a trace of fear in his eyes. The information wrapped by Nianli was also crushed by him. It was only a sigh of relief to cover up the desire to swallow at the bottom of my heart. If the Temple of Qixin discovers the secrets in him, and does not take action against him, it means that he has not touched the bottom line of the Temple of Qixin. It seems that this place is not a chance, but a tomb. It is the tomb of his Jian Wushuang. If someone wants to move him, no matter how many cards he has, he can't resist. Fortunately, the mood is strong enough to stabilize the mind. In the sky, a space was torn apart, and a woman in red armor walked out from the crack in the space. Her face is exquisite, her eyes are cold, especially her face has lines visible to the naked eye, and her red armor is full of heroism. Jian Wushuang knew that this was the person Xiao Huang had called him, and he hurriedly stepped forward to meet him. The red-clad woman, with a heavy voice, had a lifeless aura that made Jian Wushuang's mind tremble. This existence didn't have any aura, but the pressure on him was stronger than Zhen Wuyang. It is countless times stronger than those emperors who have seen him. Jian Wushuang, I am ordered by the palace master to take you to Moyin Mountain and accept the 9 refinements of the flesh. Thank you, Emperor. Jian Wushuang bowed again and thanked him again, and his respect for the strong could not be less. This was Jian Wushuang's accumulated experience over the years. You can call me Zhu Qi. Zhu Qi, with a delicate and cold face, was very unhappy with the title of emperor. Jian Wushuang stood aside, nodded and said yes. However, the word adult was added after the name. No need to resist. I will take you through time and space teleportation. Zhu Qi stretched out Qian's thin arm, opened his palm and directly grabbed Jian Wushuang into his hand. At that moment, Jian Wushuang discovered that there was an eye in the palm of Zhu Qi's palm. After he was swallowed into that eye, he was able to see the outside world clearly through Zhu Qi's eyes. Hello everyone. Our public account will find gold and coin red envelopes every day, and you can receive them as long as you pay attention. Please seize the opportunity for the last benefit at the end of the year. Book Friends Base Camp. This is simply amazing. Jian Wushuang was like a kid going to the fair for the first time, staring at him, looking around. But no matter how he turned his eyes, the scene in front of him remained unchanged. Yes, this is the perspective of Master Zhu Qi after all. The two, or Zhu Qi, returned to the space crack and appeared in the void of the primitive world. It happened to appear in a huge formation. Zhu Qi took out a token from his hand, and the word Jian Wushuang above knew it. Sazaka Hall Zhu Qi. Jian Wushuang whispered in his heart. According to speculation, Qiu Huang's Zhu Yi should be the palace master. This also made him breathe a sigh of relief. At first he thought he was the master of the Qishan temple. It seemed that the Qishan temple was really much stronger than he had imagined. At least any one person is stronger than all the emperors he has ever seen. Perhaps his vision is low, and he can't see through. But the seventh master Zhu was at least much better than Zhen Wuyang. After the token was placed in the big formation, the world revolved, and Jian Wushuang only felt the scene in front of him began to revolve. Jian Wushuang naturally didn't care about the feeling of spinning around the world, until everything he saw before his eyes turned into a circular tunnel. Zhu Qi stepped out of, and the tunnel disappeared. The world stopped spinning, and Jian Wushuang could see the outside world clearly. The towering Mine Mountain appeared before his eyes. The mist on the clouds lingered, and on the dark mountain, it was barely different from the primordial star. After arriving at the place, Zhu Qi didn't mean to release Jian Wushuang. Zhu Qi's figure fell to the entrance of the mountain. Jian Wushuang also blinked his eyes and looked at everything outside. In the next moment, Zhu Qi's figure was like a ghost, and there were countless figures on that trail, all walking slowly and staggeringly, and every step of Zhu Qi was hundreds of feet. More than everyone. Although Zhu Qi's speed was very fast, Jian Wushuang could still see the outside world clearly. That's it. Jian Wushuang was shocked. Isn't the head of the monk who sits cross-legged for 3,000 battles, the thousand-handed Buddha he has seen? The thousand-hand Buddha, and the immeasurable Buddha. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. It seemed that the chance Qiu Huang was talking about was here. Seeing those emperors walking hard, he understood why Zhu Qi put him into his hands. The difficult road that the emperor is taking. If he comes out, I am afraid he will die suddenly. Familiar figures appeared in front of them. The emperors who used to be high above, one by one deliberately turned their bodies into tens of thousands of powerful people, are now like an elderly man, walking 2 steps and stopping for a while. Zhu Qi's speed was very fast, and he reached halfway up the mountain in a short while. This place is different from below. There is now a pagoda sitting here. Jian Wushuang is also very familiar with this tower. This tower is the eternal tower of the pinnacle power. Now the Ion is only a few battles in size, and outside of it, there are hundreds of evil figures, frantically attacking the Ion. Although he couldn't feel the breath, he still recognized the identities of these evil figures based on their eyes. Chapter 5274. Swallow Demon Lord. Why are these people's stuff everywhere? The Temple of Qishan hates these devourers, and treats these devourers as sharpening stones. In terms of these things, how are they like locusts? They have them all. This is an ethnic group? Jian Wushuang asked in doubt. It doesn't look like an individual's life. When Zhu Qi's figure passed the Ion Tower, it only took a glance to kill all the devouring demon lords surrounding the Ion Tower. Humph! Jian Wushuang watched carefully. After the devouring demon lords dissipated, they turned into mist and returned to the top of the mountain. And they were heading to the top of the mountain at this time. and they reached the top of the mountain in a short time. The scenery on the top of the mountain made Jian Wushuang a little surprised. Not so good. Wow. The sound of heavy chains came from the stone pillars on the top of the mountain. Not showing up yet. Zhu Qi's voice was cold. Click. A burly figure walked out from behind the stone pillar. His hands, feet, waist, and neck were all bound by chains, and even on his chest there was a huge barb clinging to its bones. Zhu Qi. Shanjun. From the mouth of Zhu Qi, Jian Wushuang knew that the strange beast in front of him was named Shanjun. More importantly, this mountain monarch is actually a devouring monarch. I have been ordered to send someone into the demon suppression pillar to sharpen the body. Zhu Qi's voice was as indifferent as ever. The sacred fangs in the mouth of the mountain king trembled slightly. Why do I have to report to this prisoner when I send someone in? Jian Wushuang was also a little surprised. This existence was right. Why should he report it to the other party? If he were outside at this time, he would definitely be shocked when he watched Zhu Qi. Sure. Because of this indifferent woman, she was crying. So Jian Wushuang's vision became blurred. It seems that there are hidden secrets in this. Jian Wushuang's mouth turned up, thinking something in his heart. Shanjun's eyes were still fierce and fierce. His scarlet eyes turned, and he stared at Zhu Qi's eyes without hesitation. Jian Wushuang saw the truth, as if the two were looking at each other. Then come in. Shanjun moved lightly, and the chain behind him was pulled out of the magic pillar, and a small door frame leaked out. No one has used it for so many years. Now someone will come, and in the days to come, you won't be lonely. Zhu Qi trembled a little, walked straight beside Shanjun, stretched out his hand to swallow Jian Wushuang into the palm of his hand, and sent it into the pillar of suppression demon. Upon seeing this, Shanjun frowned, but he didn't say much. He used his back to plug the gap on the suppression demon pillar again. Then his eyes were closed tightly, and Zhu Qi, who stood in front of him, was ignored. Ha! Jian Wushuang's figure turned into a streamer and fell into the bottom of the suppression demon pillar. Boom! His feet hit the ground heavily, and Jian Wushuang's armor had already leaked out, always protecting himself. Now he hasn't recovered his strength. There is really any danger, but he can't resist resistance. After stabilizing his figure, he scanned the surroundings and found that Zhu Qi had not come with him. In the magic column, there is another cave. The ground here is very flat. It can even be said to be unusually smooth and hard. He hit the ground heavily just now, and he didn't even leave a trace. Everything around him seemed empty, except that there was a 9-story tower in front of his eyes, which was about 100 meters high. In addition to the tower, there is also a huge furnace. Jian Wushuang walked to the side of the fire, looked around, and found that there was no one at all. Is this going to let him explore it alone? Below the stove, there is a natural ground fire that burns the dragon red. Cosmic Copper Furnace. Jian Wushuang saw a few ancient characters protruding from the top, which were the characters of the giant gods, and Jian Wushuang recognized it. The old man Qiu Huang has never said that there is this Ding Universe bronze furnace. Call! Just as Jian Wushuang was about to sit down cross-legged and regained his strength, a burst of black smoke rose from the top of the copper furnace. Jian Wushuang was familiar with this scene, very similar to the old men in Qiu Huang City. The black mist condenses and finally turns into a human form. The only difference from Qiu Huang and others is that this black misty figure is much younger. He wears dazzling black armor, sword eyebrows, star eyes, sharp facial features, plus the beard on the temples. It looks very heroic. Jian Wushuang, as always, bowed to his head. Junior Jian Wushuang meet Senior. The black-clad middle-aged man just nodded, and then his figure floated to the door of the tower. How much do you know about this trial tower? Jian Wushuang raised his head, looked up and down the trial tower again, and said, the juniors don't know much about it, but they learned from Senior Qiu Huang that the supergrade flesh body needs 9 refinements, so it should be to step on this trial tower. The 9th floor. The middle-aged man in black armor nodded, and after a moment of silence he replied, almost. The trial tower was not forged for the flesh, not even the cosmic copper furnace. Jian Wushuang was a little surprised. The trial tower is to temper the flesh. The universe copper furnace is the real refinement of the undead. The treasures you exchange will also be used in the universe copper furnace in the future. After the two talked for a while, Jian Wushuang understood the horror under the superposition of the two. In the cosmic copper furnace, there is the origin of the universe, coupled with the immortal earth fire. A ray of arrogance is enough to make the 9-ranked Dian immortal fall. There is no 10,000 times divine body. Even if you are a strong Taoist, you can't hold on to a stick of incense. 9 refining, just the first refining, takes an hour, and the later period requires tens of thousands of years of refining. I think you still have injuries. When you are ready, you can call me at any time. Jian Wushuang asked anxiously, Senior, I don't know if there is time to speed up here? Don't worry when you enter here. The flow rate has been blessed to 200,000 times. As soon as the black-clad middle-aged man's voice fell, his figure returned to the cosmic copper furnace. Jian Wushuang was the only one left in the entire demon pillar. What he has to do now is to recover his injury first, and then improve his divine body. Every time he is injured, his origin will be stronger than ever. This is a unique characteristic of Ji Dao. I don't know how much he can improve this time. Sitting cross-legged on a clearing, began to run the origin. Wow! A huge image of the starry sky appeared all around, and Jian Wushuang seemed to be cross-legged in the starry sky. This time the loss of Ji Dao origin is actually not that much. Jian Wushuang's mouth raised, saying that it was a serious injury, because he hadn't suffered such a serious loss before. All kinds of treasures were recruited at will, floated into the body, and finally entered the original air column. Melt! Inside the source gas column, Jian Wushuang's pronucleus turned into a smaller self, mobilizing countless treasures, and began to repair its origin. Chapter 5275. The origin of the loss this time was mainly Ji Dao. After all, it was thought power that blew itself up. Even if the sword formation exploded along with it, the sword formation itself was transformed by thought power. Therefore, the ultimate kendo does not consume much. This time I didn't exchange so many kendo origins, mainly for the restoration and promotion of Ji Dao. Swallowing countless demon monarchs, the 4th layer of Ji Dao is already full. This time, while recovering, you can try to hit the 5th floor. As for the ultimate swordsmanship, there is still no idea of a breakthrough for the time being, which is also related to his origin. At the end of this time, he must separate the Ji Dao and the Sword Dao. The two can cooperate with each other in the secret method or the jerk, but it is related to the origin and must be distinguished. The Sword Master kills the sun. It is a pure yang sword body. Not to be confused, Ji Dao is different. Ji Dao is more like the first-class sect. Comprehend everything, master the avenue of everything, encompass the universe. The patterns of the two are different. Don't look at the fact that they are very strong now, but in the future, they will have a headache. Everything is transformed. There are too many treasures used in the restoration of the extreme Dao, some of which are the origin of the emperor, and some are not complete. These origins are actually not conspicuous in the treasure house. At that time, he exchanged the origin of 200,000 supreme treasure points from Qiu Huang in one breath. Just to swallow this time, let Ji Dao get full first, and then fix those broken loopholes. Yep, a crack appeared on the magnificent source column. Jian Wushuang, turned into a soul god, flew directly close to the origin of Ji Dao, took out a piece of Konoha, and put Konoha into the crack according to Qiu Huang's method. The cracks on the pillar began to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye. Every crack or broken hole was repaired by Jian Wushuang one by one. Hundreds of thousands of treasures were consumed in just 3 days. Finally, the first step is complete. The origin of Ji Dao has been completely restored. He hasn't used the pollen of Higan flower for the time being, and he plans to use it in the ultimate kendo. Boom! Boom! After the Ji Dao completely recovered, there was a scene of all things resuscitating inside. He felt relaxed physically and mentally in the bath of the soul, and his mind was refreshed. The eyes were also brighter, and even the soul realm increased rapidly. Forget it, I'll give you 5. The Ji Dao obviously showed signs of loosening. The pollen that was originally intended to be used for the ultimate kendos by Ganhwa took out 5 of them and put them into the original air column. The other shore flower. One flower blooms without roots and traces, colorless and tasteless. It is floating on the other side of the long river of time and space, and it seems that its appearance has nothing to do with the entire universe or with time and space. But its overflow is the essence of the long river of time and space. Back then, ancient times, the long river of time and space is not so lifeless as it is now. At that time, the practitioners, whether they are the emperor or the highest existence in the universe, they all yearn for a flower from the other side. Its value is comparable to that of the universe. But this kind of heaven-defying treasure is not obtained by strength, but by luck. It is said that the other shore flower grows in the long river of time and space, but according to what Qiu Huang said, it is likely to grow in the heart. Growing in the heart of a certain mighty person, wherever the heart is, and wherever he can see, there will be a flower from the other side blooming. Originally, Jian Wushuang thought that it was the strongest person who got it by virtue of his strength. Now it seems that it is not only strength, but also luck and great opportunity. She didn't use this flower on her own, but left it to Qishan Temple and gave it to her friend Zhu Yi. Jian Wushuang couldn't do this kind of selfless great freedom. Among the people he knows, it is estimated that Xianyi can do it. Now maybe Huiqing can do it too. What is this? This is great freedom, as I wish the flesh can be cut to you. At this point, Jian Wushuang thought of the world of Tongtian Buddhism, which is their old tradition, putting it in the Desai domain, let alone the other shore flower. It was just because of the outer hall of the Qishan Temple that Jin Wuyang almost destroyed the entire domain, and the entire era of killing was completely annihilated. Jian Wushuang looked more and more magical. Such a treasure, he did not expect that one day he would also get it. Although it was just the pollen above, it was enough. He was not an emperor. The 5 pollen in their origin turned into fist-sized particles and gradually spread. He doesn't open his arms. Blossom. The pollen rises when it blooms, and although it is tasteless, it is very poignant, and now the pollen collapse represents withering. With a drink and a peck, Jian Wushuang actually caused his own destruction to rise several levels. This is the process of destruction and rebirth, which naturally benefits. But this is only a little benefit. The real big benefit is that his origin has also been reborn again. Call. The 5th floor of Jidao broke through. The huge swallowing made his heart palpitations, and his pupils suddenly shrank, and he couldn't help it for a while. He hurriedly took out 5 more pollen, and it was considered as a steady source of vibration. Sure enough, Jian Wushuang stared at the original Qi pillar in shock. The benefits of this breakthrough to the extreme path were not only the increase in thought power and devouring, it also increased the power of his soul. When it reaches its limit, it has laid the foundation for the soul to perfection in the future. Especially the origin of space, this kind of origin power, that can be cultivated by emperors. Jian Wushuang is now considered to have completely crossed the threshold of entry. Although he has not yet entered the room, he has some eyebrows. At least in Dian Immortal, few people know the origin of space better than him. Thanks to Candle Dragon Wings, the treasure of space is different. Although it was only a part of the incompleteness, it also made his spatial origin start faster than ordinary people. After the Jidao origin was completely stabilized, Jian Wushuang opened his eyes and let out a sigh of relief. The first hurdle is over. The loss of ultimate kendo is much simpler to repair. Then there is the restoration of the divine body. For the divine body, Jian Wushuang also laid the blood, and just an ancient secret recipe cost him 1,000,000 treasure points. There is also the flesh and blood of the giant gods, one to repair, and the other to strengthen the basic divine body. 2 birds with 1 stone, good things come together. Next he began to repair the origin of kendo, the purest treasure and a heart of kendo, so that he repaired extremely smoothly. The only pity was that all 10 pollen were used up, and he still had no idea about the breakthrough. It seemed that he really couldn't break through the 7th layer of the big hurdle for a while. In the suppression demon column, it is 100 years in a flash. The restoration of the original source took only a year or so, and it took hundreds of years to restore the truly difficult divine body. This restoration has improved his divine body thousands of times. Now it has barely entered the ranks of 3,000 times. It is completely comparable to those cosmic-level special beings. The special beings in the Great Division's domain at the beginning were only 2,000 times the strongest. Now he has completely surpassed those special beings born in the domain, and is truly comparable to those cosmic-level special beings. Chapter 5276. After the injury was completely repaired, Jian Wushuang's primordial spirit returns, and his true body descends. Slowly opened his eyes. In the dark golden eyes, a trace of pupils were still scarlet, and they exuded an evil aura. After breaking through the fifth layer, that sense of pressure hit again. However, the strength of the mind still suppressed the evil aura to death. After standing up, Jian Wushuang clenched his fists, bowed slightly, and the red mark on the center of his eyebrows began to explode. The third eye, Candle Dragon's eye, broke out completely, running to the limit. Beast God! Jian Wushuang let out a low roar, and the smooth ground under his feet boiled instantly, and a huge disc appeared. The totem of the Candle Dragon is marked above. Ouch! A phantom of 1,000-stranded Candle Dragon instantly rose from the soles of the feet, and the sound of the dragon's ming was the world's best. Field! Wow! The plain totem on the sole of the foot turned into a blood-stained space, and the Candle Dragon was completely transformed into a living thing. It's just a pity that Candle Dragon's wings can't be stacked. Otherwise it's better than what they are now. Strands of light red arrogance began to rise from him. The divine body keeps increasing. The 3,000 times the basic divine body quickly increased to 5,000 times. 7,000 times. 8,000 times. 9,000. 9,998. 10,000 times. The original red arrogance has now turned into scarlet. The armor of the Mad Devil Slayer was dyed dark red armor. 1 times divine body, he is considered to be achieved. What we need to do now is to maintain it for 10,000 years. According to what Qiu Huang and the black-clad man said, every time the trial is completed, it can be repaired, which also gave him time to breathe. Only in the end, he still has to keep it for hundreds or even thousands of years. Call! Jian Wushuang let out a sulky breath, and after he stood up completely, his figure turned into about 9 feet. Senior, Junior is ready to open the trial tower. As soon as his voice fell, a figure rose again from the cosmic copper furnace. Looking at Jian Wushuang with a somewhat complicated gaze, he slowly said, 10,000 times divine body, a little bit reluctant. Good luck. Middle-aged man in black armor, deep finger 1 point. The trial tower hummed, and then the tower on the first floor gleamed brightly. Go in. Jian Wushuang bowed again and thanked him again. Then his figure flashed without any delay, and he walked directly into the first floor of the trial tower. The black armor figure watched Jian Wushuang enter the trial tower, and the surprise in his eyes was released. When Jian Wushuang first came here, he found the breath of Jian Wushuang, especially Jian Wushuang who had restored his origin. That breath was even stronger. Who is he? The black-clad man was full of doubts. If it is the incarnation of God, the true spirit should find out. After hesitating for a while, he returned to the copper furnace of the universe. But a plan emerged from the bottom of his heart. Jian Wushuang entered the trial tower, but he didn't know that he was favored. Others are favored by the true spirit, but he is different. He is favored by a demon lord. After stepping into the trial tower, he discovered that in this cavernous sky, it was completely different from the purgatory heaven he imagined. It turned out to be a paradise here. A peaceful valley. There are many mundane things living in it, such as cattle, sheep, horses, and other wild animals. Ding! After Jian Wushuang fell on the ground, he didn't respond quickly before he found a message sent by his identity token. Within 10 years, all the livestock in this area will be eaten up. Jian Wushuang held the token and stared at it with small eyes. Eat it all. Will this be too simple? If it's just a simple meal, he can swallow it in 1 bite. But when he mobilized his power, he found that he couldn't mobilize his power, and he couldn't even get things from the Shumi world. Nowadays, he is no different from a mortal except for his powerful body. Since falling on the grass outside the valley, he hasn't even the ability to fly. Look at the gliding wild goose above the sky again. Jian Wushuang was dumbfounded. What kind of trial is this? He spent so many treasures that he actually allowed him to learn mortal hunting. After pondering for a long time, he still couldn't start. He really has no experience in this line. He didn't realize the hunger after a long absence until his stomach started grunting. A heavy armor, he began to take off the armor. There is only one strong suit on her body, which is very comfortable, and she is also very vigorous in her activities. It is about a height of a leap. There are still some differences with mortals. Until he saw a wild boar with a long stature, madly hitting a fruit tree, waiting for the fruit to fall, and then picking up the fruit on the ground to eat. Jian Wushuang swallowed. I looked around, picked up a stone, and started to look at the first prey wild boar. About the time of a stick of incense, under the fruit tree, only Jian Wushuang was standing alone, or just barely standing with his back leaning against the tree. The wild boar is walking slowly to the only river in the valley to drink water. Jian Wushuang was clutching his stubborn belly. The feeling of Yu reading www.akanshu.com was even more uncomfortable than when he was fighting. A sense of powerlessness struck immediately. Jian Wushuang forcibly endured the pain, picked up a few fruits that wild boars couldn't like, and rubbed it on his body. An unbearable sour taste made him vomit out. No wonder the wild boars looked down on it. The fruit is clearly unripe. Jian Wushuang was so embarrassed that he was struggling to walk. He felt that his ribs had just been broken by a wild boar. Fortunately, he is a bit stronger than a mortal, otherwise he would have to explain to the wild boar just now. Stumbled toward the river about 3 feet wide, first washed his face, so that his mind was sobered, and then drank the water from the river. He continued to drink until he felt full before he stopped. Lying flat on the grass, turning his head, he saw that the tusk-toothed boar was actually in the river upstream of him. The water in the mouth just swallowed, and it suddenly disappeared. The sky was getting dim. In the sunny valley during the day, wolves roar everywhere at night. If it was before, it was nothing, but now Jian Wushuang's combat effectiveness is not as good as a wild boar. He really has to be careful. Before the sky was completely dark, he climbed onto the fruit tree with crooked neck. Without sleep all night, his eyes are a little sunken. At 10 in the morning, he and the group of livestock went to the river to drink. But this time he learned to be smart and ran to the uppermost reaches. Although he wasn't very vocal, at least he wouldn't feel so uncomfortable in his heart. At least one day later, he also ate a lot of ripe fruit on the tree and gained a little confidence. It's not possible to deal with wild boars. In addition to the wild boar, there are also the silly roe deer on the mountain. This threat is a little bit smaller, and he can start with the silly roe deer. After finalizing the plan, Jian Wushuang began to explore the woods on the mountain. Chapter 5277. It is a pity that he heard a tiger roar before he entered the forest. The sound of tiger roaring mountain forest stopped him. At this moment, he had to think, if he was eaten by the Tiger King in the mountains, whether he was really dead or faked. He had to admit that there was a real danger of death. If this is true, he needs too much defense. In this way, this first exercise really trapped him. Even if it can't be done, he will have to live here for 10 years. Wild boar. Not advisable. At present, his abilities are at best a little better than mortals. After all aspects are suppressed, the whole valley he can bully may be the little lamb. But when he was staring at the lambs, the wild wolf on the high of the valley cast threatening eyes. Facing Jian Wushuang, a carnivore who suddenly appeared in the valley, he was very vigilant. They don't want to be like wild boars, they can knock you over. For the next whole day, Jian Wushuang was observing the animals in the valley. Whether it was a group of goats, a lonely wild boar, or a cow or sheep, he didn't rush to do anything. In terms of strength alone, he doesn't even have a pig's strength. As for the wolf, one can deal with it, and 2 and 3 can go up together. And he is also suspended. In the starry sky, he has witnessed the rise of the human race, and there are hunting scenes in his memory. If the strength is not enough, then rely on the brain. Use traps to kill those large livestock. The goal now is to live and eat. It was very late in the afternoon, with plenty of sunshine. Many animals are crawling on the grass, bathing in sunlight. Jian Wushuang sneaked into the flock of sheep secretly, and took the opportunity to sleep for 2 hours. He would never sleep at night now. If he was attacked by some carnivores, he would definitely be in danger of death. He can only choose to rest during the day, and avoid the predators at night in the trees at night. However, he was not idle either. As night fell, he climbed the crooked neck tree 3 to 5 times high again. But he had a very tough stick in his hand, which was thick and strong. In addition to the wooden sticks, he also stole a lot of rattans picked up by the sheep and 2 angular stones picked up by the river. As night fell, his vision was dim. According to the experience gained during the daytime groping, he first polished the stone, sharpened the edges and corners, and then began to weave the rattan into a rope. Fortunately, he was boring enough to see how the ancients survived. Otherwise, when he comes here, his eyes are really black, and he doesn't know what to do. For 3 consecutive days, I polished the stones and made ropes every night. During the day, I took the opportunity to mix in with the sheep to rest. With the cover of the sheep, the wild boars did not dare to trouble him. Enter the 5th day of the trial tower. Jian Wushuang created a weapon of his own, a sharp spear. The spearhead is a stone with sharp edges and blood troughs. At least with him, Jian Wushuang can break through the defenses of those wild boars. But this is far from enough. He was not in a hurry to deal with the wild boar. There are no more animals in this valley, and no more animals. The top herbivores are cattle. They are so big that wolves are afraid to hunt them. But they are gentle by nature, and are not very threatening. There are about 30 heads in this group. The second is the wild boar. Jian Wushuang has suffered a lot from them. Every morning, these wild boars will hit the tree, so he has to get down from the tree in advance, and go to the sheep to take refuge. Moreover, wild boars are militant. Whether they are herbivorous or carnivorous, they will provoke each other. Under the 2 fangs, even the wolves dare not go head-to-head. The number of this ethnic group is about 100, but they are very scattered and generally do not live in groups. In addition to these 2 heavyweight opponents, the rest is not a big threat. The horse herd, like the sheep, is very gentle by nature and not threatening at all. However, Jian Wushuang knew it for a while and didn't dare to do anything with them. At night, he found that most of the wolves were sneaking on the outside of the flock, and he did not dare to attack the flock. After all, there are too many, thousands of them, and there are only dozens of wolves. The wrestling of sheep is not a joke. It seems that I can only go to the riverside to try my luck. Jian Wushuang held the spear, and the stone on the spear head was fixed by the rope very strong, like one body. After arriving at the river, he began to move some stones to block the river. Between the gaps, there was only 1 finger wide, and no fish larger than a slap could get through. After setting up all this, Jian Wushuang began to wait for the fish from upstream. He has been eating fruit for so many days, and his whole person has lost a lot of weight. After returning to a mortal, he slowly regained the feeling he once had. Earth. Jian Wushuang sighed that he used to be able to fly, but he would never run. But how eager to fly now. If you can fly, let alone the wild boar. He is not afraid of the Tiger King in the mountains. Puff! The splash gradually rose, and the sword plunged into the water without the spear in both hands. Thump! Jian Wushuang jumped directly into the turbulent river. Through the clear water, he saw the big fish that had been pierced into the water. Unsurprisingly, in addition to making weapons these days, he really observed whether there were fish in the river, or whether there were fish-eating carnivores such as brown bears. Fortunately, after a few days of observation, there are no bears but some fishes. Today's receipt is destined to let him have a meal. By the small river, he dealt with this big fish, which was not of any kind urgently. Although it was a bit rough, it was enough to fill his stomach. He hasn't found a good place to live so far, and he doesn't dare to make a fire, so he can only eat raw. The plump fish that has been cleared by the river has no fishy smell, but is very cool and refreshing. After swallowing a whole fish into his belly, he found that his whole body felt a scorching sensation, as if he had a lot of strength, and he didn't know how to vent it. Jian Wushuang picked up a stone by the river. Yang started to chop it, and directly split the hard pebbles in half. I am actually much better than before. My strength is increasing. Jian Wushuang was extremely surprised. It turned out that these things were great supplements, not ordinary things. He didn't know how strong he was when he first came in, but he can now judge that the strength of his hands is definitely more than 1,000 caddies. He jumped up. It was still about a battle. This point hasn't changed, but the running speed has increased a lot. The ordinary flesh is a point stronger than before. This is just a fish if you eat that wild boar. Jian Wushuang's eyes became hot, and now his eyes glowed with seductive light when he looked at the animals. Only now did he understand the true meaning of this first practice. A single fish can increase the strength of several hundred caddies, so if all the livestock in this area are eaten, wouldn't it be able to break the sky with a mortal body? This is only the first layer. After eating these animals, it is considered to have passed the first level, then enter the universe copper furnace, and survive the copper furnace refining, which is the real first refinement. Chapter 5278. It has been almost a month since I got here. Jian Wushuang started fishing for the first time, and ate fish for a month, and now his strength has exceeded 10,000 caddies. The hundreds of fatty fish in the river were almost cleaned by him. I'm used to catching it. It's 3 to 5 a day. With my current physical strength, it's time to meet the wild boar. Jian Wushuang's eyes flashed, clearing the blood on the spear. As soon as I was together, I saw a wild boar drinking water downstream. This was the first time attacking his side. Most wild boars live in the woods, with only a few heads roaming on the grass in the valley as a whole. Ha! Jian Wushuang picked up a piece of gravel, grabbed it, and then threw it at the wild boar drinking water. A terrible pig cry resounded through the valley. The stone hit the wild boar's back, making the wild boar limping back quickly. Go and pack you tonight. Swordless, holding a spear in both hands, left the river. After observing these days, he found that wolves hunt in Hudong at night, and wild boars are in Huxi at night. At that time, no predator will compete with him. After taking his attention, he attached to the flock, lay down on a steep slope, and waited for the night to come. According to his calculations, the strength of a pig should be around 3,000. Now his strength with both fists breaking 10,000 caddies is dozens of times stronger than before. It should be no problem to deal with a wild boar. Moreover, the wild boar's hind leg was injured, and he couldn't run, so he could only fight with him. Lying on the hillside, Jian Wushuang's eyes were staring at the injured wild boar. The sneak attack just made the wild boar vigilant a bit, and never dared to go to the river. The night came quickly, and Jian Wushuang adjusted his physical aura to the extreme. In this battle tonight, he had a 90% chance of winning one-on-one, and he was afraid that other animals would participate. If this wild boar can be slaughtered, he will have at least half a month's ration, and his physical strength will skyrocket. He has eaten all the fish in the river, and everything is moving in a good direction, one by one. In 10 years' time, eating all these animals is not a problem. Taking advantage of the darkness, Jian Wushuang quietly crossed the river and came to the territory of wild boar and buffalo. 70% of this grassland is occupied by cattle, and the remaining 30% is occupied by 7 wild boars. That is to say, the cattle are gentle by nature. If they were like wild boars, they would have been driven away long ago. However, his gentle nature made Jian Wushuang's hunting more difficult. In the future, he wanted to kill the buffalo, but he faced a group of people. The strength of a cow is probably more than 10,000 caddies, and dozens of them are hundreds of thousands caddies. It was not caused by him now. Quietly bypassing the territory of buffalo, Jian Wushuang's pace gradually slowed down. Although his vision was a little fuzzy, he still found the injured wild boar. Based on that force, it was lying under a tree, and the pigtails snapped at the flies around it from time to time. Jian Wushuang licked his lips, and the wild boar was injured. Although he was much weaker than before, it also made him very vigilant and did not sleep at all. Go to hell! He leaned back slightly, holding the spear in one hand, and threw it fiercely, the sound of the spear breaking through the air. As soon as he awakened the wild boar, he pointed straight to the door. Puff! Plasma burst. The spear was centered on the skull of the wild boar. There was a terrible cry, and the startled birds scattered on the tree. Although the spear pierced the top of the wild boar's head, it did not make the wild boar fall directly. Instead, it became more violent than ever. No matter how stupid it was this time, I could see that Jian Wushuang was sneaking on it. The trembling body burst out with astonishing power in an instant, rushing towards Jian Wushuang. Reluctantly, the injury on his hind leg was too serious. Jian Wushuang just turned sideways, then raised his foot and kicked the wild boar's hind leg. Jian Wushuang used his full strength, causing the wild boar's other hind leg to make a crisp sound. This time it should be really broken. Both hind legs were broken, and no matter how strong the wild boar was, he couldn't touch Jian Wushuang at all, pulling his legs like a headless fly, chasing Jian Wushuang everywhere. Jian Wushuang looked at the opportunity, jumped up, provoked the height of the battle, grabbed the spear stabbed on the wild boar, and pulled hard. The red and white things stood out and scattered all over the ground. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he stabbed the wild boar's abdomen again, and then with a single pick, he threw it out several battles and smashed it on the ground fiercely. The wild boar that fell on the ground shook his head, and the blood remained along the front door. He wanted to roar again, but he couldn't make a sound and couldn't run away. Call! After breathing for a few breaths, its eyes stared at Jian Wushuang and ran forward again, with two fangs sticking into Jian Wushuang's body. This time Jian Wushuang was not evading either. His legs suddenly kicked back, raised his left fist, and blasted towards the wild boar's door with all his strength. Bump! The fist collided with the pig's head, and there was a muffled noise. There was a hole in his head, but now it collided with Jian Wushuang's fist and collapsed directly. Jian Wushuang's entire fist was inserted into the wild boar's forehead, and the two fangs were only a little short of touching his body. Except for the last time I struggled a bit. The other times I won it steadily. This time it was also to try the current body, and punched the wild boar through the head, which satisfied him. After taking a breath, he turned to look at the other wild boars, with murderous eyes in his eyes, so that they dare not come forward. The valley was so big, a wild boar was killed, and many livestock and even predators were extremely jealous of Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang put the whole wild boar on his shoulders, and with heavy steps, he began to cross the river and headed to the lower reaches. The upper reaches is the habitat of the wolves. He carried such a big wild boar. It is estimated that he will be besieged by the wolves. The water is deep downstream, and there are buffaloes. It is just right to slaughter the wild boars, and the cattle will be his bodyguards. The wolves dare not come over. Jian Wushuang, who had already figured out the entire canyon, found a cave by the water pool downstream, and began to slaughter wild boars. He cut the pork, which was 1,000 catties, and prepared to light a fire during the day and eat a meal. He has been eating raw fish these days and he almost vomits. With food, and a relatively hidden place to live, Jian Wushuang gradually forgets that he is still a practitioner. Jian Wushuang, with shaggy beard and disheveled hair, is like a savage. However, his body has also undergone obvious changes. Many lines began to appear on the flesh. These lines are not very obvious, but Jian Wushuang can see that it is a strange beast based on the totem drawn by the lines. Spring goes to autumn and winter. Jian Wushuang has been living here for about a year. With the supplement of the first wild boar, he completely settled here. In 1 year, he slaughtered the other 6 wild boars. Now his strength has exceeded 30,000 catties. Boom! In the upstream waterfall, Jian Wushuang's body was bathed under the rapids of the waterfall, and from time to time there were a lot of broken pieces that smashed on his body along with the water. Chapter 5279. Now those lines on his body are getting clearer and clearer, and the golden lines are very similar to the giants he encountered in the starry sky. There are these lines on the back and chest, and now it has spread to the legs and arms. After washing for almost half an hour, Jian Wushuang left the upstream and returned to the residence downstream. After this year's renovation, the cave can be regarded as a good place. Some of the hides of cattle and sheep were cut by him to make a bed. Since entering here, his living habits are the same as those of mortals. Even if the physical body is so strong now, he will still be sleepy and hungry. Puff! Jian Wushuang took out a piece of charcoal from the black charcoal, blow it hard, and the flame burst out. Crackling. After the fire was set up, Jian Wushuang took out the hind legs of a buffalo and began to put it on top and roast it. After roasting for a while, he took out a sharp stone knife and began to cut the cooked meat on it, feeding it piece by piece to his mouth. Every bite of meat increases his strength. With today's power, he is no longer afraid of wolves. Few animals in this valley can threaten him. The only thing left is the Tiger King living in the woods. The increase of 10 wild boars is comparable to that of a buffalo, and 10 sheep can be comparable to wild boars. This is what he calculated right now. At present, the Tiger King's gain should be the largest. As for the wolves, he doesn't have this idea for the time being. He has eaten a few goats. Since he doesn't need to hide in the flock, he will hunt down some goats that are alone. In 9 years he had to plan and plan later. He planned to eliminate all the remaining wild boars within this month, and then began hunting buffaloes. Finally the flock put Tiger King at the end. The original rule was to eat all the livestock, which should not be counted as the Tiger King and the wolves. But he didn't dare to gamble. It was best to eat them all. He ate most of the several hundred caddies of beef legs in the afternoon. Now he can eat 1,000 caddies of meat a day, and under normal circumstances, he can also eat 400 to 500 caddies. The greater the power, the greater the demand. In addition to hand-to-hand combat, now he has also learned to arrange traps. There are a lot of traps in the mountains to catch wild boars. If you are lucky, you don't need him to do anything. Jian Wushuang raised his brows and walked out of the cave slowly. A tragic voice came from upstream. Listen to the sound, it should be a wild boar. He walked swiftly along the river and began to go upstream. It's really good luck, it should be the wild boar again. Jian Wushuang's face leaked a smile. It's better not to do it, or not to do it. He didn't come here to practice fighting with livestock, but for the flesh. All the animals in this valley, he will do his best to devour them, and will never leave a trace. Time is running out. He doesn't have time to hunt head by head. In addition to traps, he will now attack the flock every day. Now that the flocks have become hostile to him, it is hard to find those who are alone, so they can only deal with the big buffaloes. A ox of power, tens of thousands of caddies, fortunately not as agile as a wild boar. He is also very easy to deal with. After running along the river channel for almost a quarter of an hour, I got outside the woods upstream. In the woods, there was nothing except Ryuruawa's howling, and even the usual wolves hadn't seen one. There is something strange. Jian Wushuang slowed down, and after exploring around, he slowly approached the howling woods. This time he also brought 4 or 5 short spears, and a sword cut out of corbel bone. Although there is no origin and divine body now, he still remembers his swordsmanship when he was a mortal. If he really faced a pack of wolves, with his superb swordsmanship, he would really not be afraid of those wolves. Gradually approaching the depths of the woods, he found the howling wild boar, and it was indeed caught in the trap he arranged. The whole body of the wild boar fell into a small cave, and there were a few sharp bones that pierced its body. Jian Wushuang secretly breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that there should be no problem at present. But the disappearance of the wolves still made him a little uneasy, so he decided to take the wild boar and leave immediately. The woods upstream have always been the chassis of the wolves. Now I have not seen these wolves. There is only one situation. Either they are all dead, or they are driven away by other animals. Jian Wushuang was even more convinced that the wolves were driven away by something, and the strongest in the entire valley should be the Tiger King. The wild boar can't drive away the wolves. Jian Wushuang cautiously came to the wild boar, with short hair in his hand, and pierced the wild boar's lifeline with one blow, and instantly closed his eyes. After hunting so many heads, he already knew the weakness of the opponent. After more than a year, he has already gotten used to all this. Pulling the wild boar's ear with one hand, he pulled it out of the trap, and the explosive force caused the ground to sink. The next moment, Jian Wushuang suddenly stopped what was in his hands, slowly put down the wild boar. His eyes became sharp. An extremely low roar came from deep in the throat, and the dead leaves on the trembling treetops fell. Hitting Jian Wushuang's eyebrows, it was a pack of wolves. Jian Wushuang took out a short spear and turned his head slightly. 7 or 8 wild wolves appeared behind him. There are also a few in front of them, and you don't need to look at them. The wild wolves on both sides also leaked fierce and evil eyes. The time to come is always coming. He dared to start entering the valley. These wild wolves still don't care. After all, he is the only one. But now his hunting has threatened the wolves. Wolf. This animal has a particularly strong sense of crisis. Jian Wushuang, as a hunter, has seriously threatened them. Even the mantis tricks of catching the cicada and the oriole were used on Jian Wushuang. The low roar made people shudder. Jian Wushuang, who had only a physical body at this time, was still struggling to deal with wolves. He was not yet familiar with the power of these wolves. Move gently, holding a short spear in each hand, ready to do it at any time. Move. In an instant, the surrounding wolves rushed in an instant, like a gust of wind. A straddle was several battles away, and Jian Wushuang had to retreat. But now there is no way to retreat. I can only choose a better way to go, and prepare to go out. Taking a step forward, Jian Wushuang spotted a lone wolf that had fallen behind, thrust out a spear, killing him instantly, then quickly turned around and left the position he had just now. It was just a time to turn around, and several wild wolves attacked the position just now very fast. Sneak attack, trap, round up. These wild wolves came prepared. It seems that this time they want to stay here. In the time of fighting with a stick of incense, Jian Wu had all the short spears in his hands, killing a few wild wolves, and there was no short spear in his hand, only a bone sword was left. A bone sword made of ox bone, 3 feet long, without a trace. The swordsmanship of ordinary times. Jian Wushuang was like a heart, and the tip of the sword spiraled around. Chapter 5280. And on Jian Wushuang's back, the wild wolf also rushed 3 blood into Linlin's mouth. The blood was left along the back, the flesh turned out, hideous and terrifying. The 3-foot sword was in his hands, and was fully utilized. For a time, neither of the two parties can ask for much bargain. I really underestimated these beasts. Jian Wushuang retreated to a towering ancient tree, and the bone sword was placed in front of him, covering his eyes, and he could only observe the wild wolf in front of him from under the sword. Jian Wushuang felt very familiar with this scene. He felt as if he had drawn his sword 100,000 times. Every time he was under the tree at this moment. Now he didn't have that much inspiration. When the wild wolf pounced, his body turned back and his toes lightly stepped on the trunk, his body rushing out like a dragon. Catch the thief first. In terms of tactics, these wild wolves are much worse. He had been staring at the Wolf King a long time ago, but he dared not leak the killing intent in his eyes, so he would be spotted by the wolves. So he covered his eyes with the sword and kept staring at the lower body of the Wolf King. This jump was several tens of feet, and went straight to the position of the Wolf King. Only then did the wolves react, but it was too late. A sort of cold light. The Wolf King's huge head rolled to the ground, while Jian Wushuang's figure was standing in the position of the Wolf King, looking at the other wild wolves with cold eyes. Oh, the Wolf King died, and these wild wolves didn't know whether they should take revenge or retreat. Now that the wolves are half dead and injured, if they really want to fight, they must be extinct today. Just when the two sides were hesitant, Jian Wushuang felt a chill on his back, which was a great horror. The wolves also noticed the problem and wanted to escape, but it was too late. A big yellow-spotted tiger rushed out and solved a wild wolf in one bite. and then ran around, completely dispersing the killed wolves. Tiger King Jian Wushuang was sweating coldly behind his back. In just an instant, half of the wolves were resolved. Depending on the level of agility, it was still above. In terms of strength, slapping an ancient tree, with a diameter of a battle with one palm, is definitely more than 100,000 caddies. He is definitely not an opponent. Escape! Jian Wushuang has only one thought in his mind right now. That is to leave the Green Hills without fear of firewood. So hurry up. According to his current speculation, after eating the cattle, it would almost be able to break through 100,000 caddies. It is not the time to deal with the Tiger King. He was swiftly paced, jumping constantly, and the Tiger King, who had already dealt with the wolves, stood on a mossy stone, looking at Jian Wushuang's back, and his pale yellow eyes were full of killing intent. In the valley, the wolf pack and the Tiger King have always maintained a delicate relationship. Now that the wolf pack is finished because of Jian Wushuang, if Jian Wushuang is also wiped out, then the entire valley belongs to the Tiger King. The cattle and sheep are its back garden. It stood on the stone and screamed at Jian Wushuang's back. Wuthering mountain forest, let the birds fly away from the forest. Tiger King's speed is much faster than Jian Wushuang, and one step is tens of feet. The chase of the two in the woods is very conspicuous. It's over, Jian Wushuang said secretly, and his figure stopped instantly. There is a cliff in front, and a waterfall upstream. At a height of 1,000 feet, if he jumps down, he will die forever. Tiger King also slowed down, and began to look around Jian Wushuang. Fighting can happen at will in the moment of change. Jian Wushuang casually tore a broken step strip from his body, wiped the blade, ready to fight to the death. The ordinary swordsmanship. I don't know if he can deal with this Tiger King, but now he has no choice. Huang looked at it for a moment, as if he could see Jian Wushuang's flaws, and accompanied by a low roar, it took the lead to leap forward to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wu Duan faced the blood basin with a big mouth, and it was too late to turn around, brandishing a bone sword. The white sword body was like a streamer, reluctantly turned over by Jingguang to escape the attack. Tiger King also used a pair of tiger palms to disrupt the sharp sword light. When the two separated, Tiger King flicked his tail, and directly knocked the bone sword down from Jian Wushuang's hands. How clever the Tiger King is! He discovered Jian Wushuang's reliance in a fight. If there is no bone sword, it can't stop it from biting. Jian Wushuang only felt his wrists numb, and the bone sword came out of his hand and fell aside. How could he stop thinking about this, and smash Tiger King's back severely with his left fist? The explosive power of this punch, tens of thousands of caddies, directly shook the tiger's sight out of several battles. He also took the opportunity to step back a few steps, held his right arm, and then healed for a while. This animal's skin is really thick. Jian Wushuang gritted his teeth and shook his wrist. His punch was enough to kill a buffalo, and the enchantment hit the Tiger King, but it didn't have much effect. Now the bone sword in his hand was also lost. It would be very unfavorable for him to fight again. Fortunately, with the first experience and the next few bites, he escaped without danger. Call! His breath began to be gradually unstable, and it consumed too much, and there was no power to supplement it. Only now this physical strength is still too far away. This is mundane. Physical strength is the first step. The strength is only more than 30,000 caddies, which is accumulated on the flesh, but it is just opening up. The veins have not been opened yet. In this first exercise, he really didn't see anything special. www.novel.com. Even if all the animals in the canyon were slaughtered and eaten dry, he would increase his strength by 1,000,000 caddies. Superimposed on the flesh, at most, it can open up 108 veins, making his flesh reach the extreme in the mundane. This is just the mundane stage. This strength of the physical body, let alone cultivating immortals. Even a cultivator can defeat it at will. This is not what he wants. Too weak. Although it was only the first exercise, it was still too weak, and not in his expectation. Feeling the wound on his back, the hot pain, made Jian Wushuang a lot of sweat or blood on his forehead. On the brow, a hideous hole was shocking. It can't be delayed any longer. Jian Wushuang's heart is full, and he will definitely fight to the death. Tiger King bowed his head, a pair of pale yellow eyes, filled with evil spirits. Puff! A gust of wind hit, and the Tiger King jumped and killed again. Jian Wushuang didn't hide this time, and he didn't have much strength to hide. His legs bent and his body leaned back. See the bone sword not far from the ground. There was a tension in his mind. When the Tiger King rushed forward, he rushed to the Tiger King's abdomen with a sliding shovel, picked up the bone sword on the ground, and made a stab towards the Tiger King's abdomen. With this sword, he used up all his strength, holding the bone sword firmly in both hands, and with the help of the Tiger King's impact, the bone sword made a few feet in the Tiger King's abdomen. The hot blood spilled over Jian Wushuang. The Tiger King's body fell heavily to the ground, and he couldn't die again. Jian Wushuang let go of the bone sword. Limp on the ground, panting heavily, tiger blood flowed into his mouth along the corner of his mouth, making his blood boil, and his whole body was transforming. Chapter 5281. In this battle, Jian Wushuang was completely clear about all his opponents. The entire valley will be his back garden, and within 10 years, it will be easy to clear all the livestock. In addition to the Tiger King's body, he also took all the wolf heads to the cave. This time, the receipt was enough to save him from hunting for 3 months, just polishing his body. The flesh and blood power of livestock is very strong. Even after eating them, Jian Wushuang needs to polish his flesh and absorb all the flesh and blood essence. For example, Tiger King's blood is simply a tonic to his body. The bones of the whole person have changed, and the golden lines on the body have become more obvious. In the following days, he polished his body wholeheartedly, absorbed the essence of the Tiger King, and made his physical power break through to 100,000 in one fell swoop. It's still not enough. Jian Wushuang looked at the bones all over the floor, somewhat helpless. I thought that this Tiger King would at least make his body stronger, but he didn't expect to increase his strength in the end. The changes in the bones have not changed much. After all, it is not a treasure of genius. As the flesh became stronger and stronger, the livestock in the valley could no longer threaten him. Whenever he was hungry, he would hunt and kill a buffalo. Eat the freshest if you want. Time is fast, and 10 years have passed in just a few seconds. Jian Wushuang gnawed on the last rib of the lamb and burped. Now he, like a savage, was completely dark and ragged. In this valley, he was left with a breather. Jian Wushuang, an extremely burly figure, just ordinary walking made a big earthquake tremble, and every step was a heaviness of hundreds of thousands of caddies. Thump! On the last day, Jian Wushuang stood on the top of the cliff, where he had fought with the Tiger King, and glanced around the valley. These 10 years have been the most special time since he entered the practice. Completely lived as a savage. In the hundreds of millions of years in the starry sky, at least his strength was still there. In this valley, he was immortal when he first arrived, and even a wild boar could bully him. Now I am leaving, take one last look. The next moment he jumped directly into the bottomless pool. The sturdy body became clear. Today he seems to have been reborn. His bones are very large, and on his clear and clean chest and back golden lines appear. The harder he was, the more prominent the golden lines became. The golden pattern outlines an ancient beast. Even Jian Wushuang doesn't know it. In the magic column, outside the trial tower, the middle-aged man in black armor, with a little in his hand, a streamer turned into 100,000 rays, and flew into the trial tower. Each ray of light turns into a black-clothed messenger, attracting 100,000 Jian Wushuang in the trial tower. In the end, the golden light turned into 1 point, and the 100,000 avatars also turned into Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, who returned to the demon suppression pillar, was no different from when he first entered. The madness and extinction armor on his body is still there. This is... Jian Wushuang was speechless. At the moment of fusion, he realized that he had split 100,000 clones. Don't be surprised, you have completed half of the first exercise. The black-armored man said lightly. Jian Wushuang hurriedly put away his armor, leaking a black suit, and then with a slight force, he directly shattered his coat. Looking at his chest again, the golden lines are extremely dazzling, and every inch of his body is outlined. The Wanbei divine body is also running wildly at this moment. The divine body and the origin all returned, and the familiar sense of manipulation completely pulled Jian Wushuang back to reality. Jian Wushuang asked in surprise, "Senior, is all this illusory?" He couldn't believe it. It was obvious that the physical body had been strengthened, but he felt that everything was not real, especially the incarnation of 100,000 copies of the same memory, without any deviation. "This is also amazing." The black-armored man smiled slightly and replied, "Advanced Cosmic Copper Furnace. When your first training is completely completed, I will answer you again. You have not completed even half of it now. After the physical body is truly condensed and tempered, it will be the first." Lian, indeed, if Supergrade's physical body is so simple, it won't stop so many strong people. How could the process of tempering the supergrade physical body be so simple as the threshold of the 10,000 times divine body? Jian Wushuang nodded. He also understood that after entering the first floor of the trial tower, he could use nothing, just a first-order mortal. The threshold for refining a supergrade physical body is a tens of thousands of times the divine body, but it is not necessary to enter the trial tower divine body, which is obviously unreasonable. I am afraid that the threshold of the 10,000 times divine body is in this universe copper furnace. His hair is flying, his upper body is naked, and his skeletal back is like of war. The edges and corners of the muscles are also particularly distinct. Click. The cosmic copper furnace was opened. The scorching air wave came over the surface. This arrogance was enough to annihilate Dian Immortal, but he was about to enter the tempering for a whole hour. If there is no tens of thousands of times the divine body, I am afraid that there will be no ashes left to be refined within a quarter of an hour. Jian Wushuang swallowed, his lips were a little dry. After bowing to the black-armored man, he stepped into the copper furnace with a firm look in his eyes. After entering the copper furnace, he felt what purgatory was. That burning sensation is not as simple as a ground fire. In this cosmic copper furnace, there is an incomplete source. Jian Wushuang just sat cross-legged on the red ground. He felt a beating of origin. It turned out to be an unknown source. Jian Wu was overjoyed. For a time, a bold idea came out of my mind. At first he thought that the origin was from the black-armored senior outside, but now it seems that this origin was injected into the inside by other powerful beings. Before he had time to think about it, the moment the cosmic copper furnace was shut down, the flames rose. Wow! Countless treasures were taken out by him. And these were the treasures needed during the first refining. With so many treasures, Immortal Dian's body can be directly promoted to low-grade consummation. The treasures of the first 3 refinements were able to refine a perfect flesh that was stronger than the Emperor Malong. This is still a direct improvement. If there are cosmic copper furnaces to help temper the body, I am afraid that his body will be comparable to the middle-grade perfect body in the first refining. Jian Wushuang no longer thought about other things. Countless treasures were refined into a golden liquid by the flame, and began to revolve around his body. The scorching flames constantly eroded his flesh, let his body rot again and again, and finally recovered again. This way over and over again. No matter how powerful the divine body is, it can't stand the consumption like this. In particular, he has now expanded the beast god domain to the limit. Although the scope has been reduced to cover only the flesh, the expendable power and divine power are the same. An hour is really the limit. Jian Wushuang gritted his teeth, which was more painful than he thought. Once the body is broken, one point is strengthened. He needs to be broken 100,000 times. The swallowed essence and blood of hundreds of thousands of heavens now needs to be merged into one. How simple it is. Chapter 5282. In the end, 100,000 times of shattering made his body completely transformed into a mass of flesh and blood. Now sitting there cross-legged is just a divine body phantom. The mass of flesh and blood slowly overlapped with the treasure swirling around him. The golden liquid refined by countless treasures was thoroughly stirred with the flesh and turned into a golden ball. Then, according to his divine body phantom, he began to reshape his body. The first exercise has also reached the most critical moment. Carrying the past, the first practice reshapes the flesh to perfection, unable to resist. All the expenses were paid for. At this time, Jian Wushuang did not dare to slack, and fully cooperated with the universe copper furnace to complete the last step. Start with the bones. Jian Wushuang is very familiar with the colorful skeleton. This is a bone of the ancient beast that he spent and exchanged millions of treasure points. Now it has been refined into a liquid, and the impurities in it have been removed, more than it used to be, and it has completely turned into his bones. The huge skeleton is as high as 9 feet. It was no different from the previous Jian Wushuang. After all, it was built according to the phantom of the divine body. After the skeleton part is completed, start to irrigate the flesh. Starting from the head, a majestic face appeared. Sword eyebrows, star eyes. There seems to be a starry sky between the eyebrows, unparalleled in ancient times. Then there is the upper body. The sturdy figure appears. Every inch of muscle is sharp and angular, and the wrist is extremely wide. The golden lines on the chest and back are more obvious. It wasn't until the entire body was completely reshaped before Jian Wushuang let out a sigh of relief. The breath was like a changhong. Although the flames evaporated as soon as he spit it out, Jian Wushuang could still clearly feel that his current physical body was countless times stronger than before. With one punch, you can burst a star without using the force. If he had completed the 9 exercises, he couldn't even imagine how strong he would become by then. Although the physical improvement was a bit stupid, Jian Wushuang was still absolutely, this time very wise. Origin, divine body, realm, and soul. He has all reached the edge of the threshold. Instead of slamming the cart before the horse, it is better to take another path. As long as there is a qualitative change in strength, everything can be broken. Wow. The cosmic copper furnace slowly opened. Jian Wushuang walked out slowly without incident. After he walked out of the copper furnace, a new set of black robes appeared on his body. Congratulations, Jian Wushuang. Luck, he said modestly. Now his whole aura has undergone obvious changes, and now he can be regarded as understanding what the supergrade physical body represents. No wonder, after the 7th exercise, it represents the peak, let alone the 9 exercises. Even if you haven't reached the 7th exercise, the strength of the flesh is far surpassing those superior perfect flesh. This is not luck, this is your strength. The black-clad man paused, and then said, "By the way, you can call me Shanjun from now on. You don't need to call me senior." Shanjun. Jian Wushuang was shocked. Isn't this the demon lord who is tied to the pillar of the demon town? When he first saw the other party was not so easy to talk. He looked fierce and vicious. "Why are you surprised?" Shanjun smiled lightly and said, "That's right, you little guys. Now it's the 2nd stage of the trial, and it should be against those demon kings. Senior, you seem to be a little different from those devouring demon lords." Jian Wushuang asked curiously. The devouring demon lord he saw were all crazy demons, and he didn't have much consciousness. Regardless of whether it was the main body on the suppression demon pillar, or the current phantom, Shanjun was conscious, especially this phantom, where it seemed to swallow the devil. Haha, Shanjun couldn't help laughing and said, "This is natural. Those devouring demon lords you see are clones of 10,000 demons." Jian Wushuang leaked his doubts and murmured, "Wan mo? Yes, you have not yet become a core inheritor. There is no need to know so much." The phantom of Shanjun floated above the copper furnace of the universe, through a ray of light, with reminiscences on his face. At the beginning, God fell, thousands of people together, turned into a few of them, and now they are all suppressed in this temple of divergence. In the outside world, another God, who also controls the whole way, was also suppressed. Swallowing one, originally hopeless, but now he has met Jian Wushuang, a practitioner who rekindled his hope. a Dayan immortal who cultivated the power of devouring himself. Although his body did not have the aura of swallowing the avenue, the evil aura of the swallowing power was the same as them. This is a host. God, demon lord, demon lord. God is the suppressed one in the original universe, comparable to the master of the universe, and several of them also have the top strength of tier 6. As for the demon lord, they were all clones of the lord of 10,000 demons. A few of them, each concealed the secret of the universe. What a glorious past. It is a pity that in the end God fell, and several of them were also caught in the temple of Chishan one by one. 2 great god-level powerhouses. One was suppressed in the primitive universe, and the other fell into 5 demon masters. Mischief. The great god, deprived of his devouring way. The method of breaking the arm of such a strong man is simply shocking the past and the present. The original one became thousands, but it condensed 3 god-level powerhouses, and one who is still missing. It is not known whether it is death or life. Now that I see a cultivator with swallowing power, how can I make Shan Jun not happy? Jian Wushuang also saw the wound in Shan Jun's eyes on the side, so he changed the subject and asked, "Some trial towers?" It turned out that the first floor of the trial tower was constructed by 100,000 Jutian. Once inside, the body will turn into 100,000 copies. At the beginning, his body in the canyon was only 100,000th. No wonder it is so weak. Ben Hai thought it was suppressed, but he didn't expect it to be divided into strength in the end. Even with the power of the flesh, Jian Wushuang also has supreme combat power. 100,000ths, turned into a mortal, it makes sense. Now it's 1. After refining it, his physical body can already be comparable to an ordinary treasure. Even if he stands still and lets the 9-ranked Dayan immortal attack wildly, he can't damage it at all. This is still without using the divine body and origin. If the divine body and the origin are added, even the Taoist strong will not be able to hurt him. With his current physical body and 10,000 times divine body, he has achieved the ultimate in Dayan immortal. This is far from enough. He must be the strongest, even beyond those ancient gods and demons. In the final analysis, the divine body is now thousands of times, still relying on the candle dragon's eyes. It is all foreign objects. The basic divine body and the perfection of the physical body are the true foundation. If the basic divine body is tens of thousands of times, he is truly invincible, and the divine body alone can be comparable to those of the ultimate way of Dayan immortal. Okay, I've said everything that needs to be said. You can enter the trial tower. Although your background is quite deep, the second level is very special. Don't be careless. Shanjin's eyes gently exhorted. Joke. Jian Wushuang has never looked down on any floor of the 9-story trial tower. 10,000 treasures are still here. How dare he take it lightly, trying his best every time. Chapter 5283. The door of the trial opened. Jian Wushuang nodded, took a step forward, and entered the trial tower again. This time, as Shan Jun said, it was very different. The trial tower on the second floor made him reminisce about the ease of the first floor. This second level is very similar to the purgatory he imagined. The terrifying existence he saw on this level, the terrifying creatures tumbling in the magma, he didn't want to see again in his life. I hope you will never see the sun. In the second layer, Jian Wushuang's strength is not differentiated or suppressed, and he has the most peak combat power. But in this level, his strength is useless no matter how strong he is. 360 chains, he needs to go to the end of each chain, and under the chains are the ancient gods and demons churning in the magma. Each end has the power of the emperor, and some of them surpass Zhen Wuyang. They fought and howled in the magma, but Jian Wushuang walked slowly on the chain cautiously, and under the terrifying temperature, his innate treasure armor was steamed and hot. Ordinary treasures can be melted at any time in this purgatory. After all 360 chains were walked, he only felt that his feet had lost consciousness, and his consciousness had become extremely stiff, so that after he stepped into the lotus-shaped altar, his legs were like stone pillars, truly immovable like a mountain. The lotus altar is the only land in this purgatory, only a few miles long and wide. It is like the Optimus pillar, standing on top of magma. All around were red chains, and below were terrifying magma and those giant beasts. Call. Looking back at the magma behemoth below, Jian Wushuang was still a little breathless. This is a test of the flesh, this is a test of will. Walking on the chain, the hot feeling on the chain has been tempering the flesh, and underneath is a giant magma beast. If one is not careful or can't hold on, it will fall. Fall down. Jian Wushuang's cold sweat broke out behind him, and he really couldn't imagine the scene of the fall. This walk is 300 years of suffering. Use the beast domain all the time to increase the body, otherwise it will not be able to bear it at all. Especially the destruction of will, making him extremely stiff, or extremely tough. No matter which step he will take firmly. After arriving at the altar, he did not feel that relief at all. It wasn't until a few hours later that he opened his eyes and looked at the center of the altar. According to the message conveyed on the token, he needs to sacrifice his current physical body on the altar. Although he didn't understand why it was so outrageous, he still had no choice but to walk to the altar. At the core of the altar, there is a big tripod, very huge. Jian Wushuang started the sacrifice ceremony according to the above law. Thump. He knelt on his knees, raised his hands directly above his head, and came to worship with a 5-body head. Bang bang bang. 3 times in a row. Great Huang, please accept this flesh. Jian Wushuang slowly got up, but his still bowed down beside the cauldron. What stood up was the phantom of the divine body. The dating made a noise, and his physical body slowly stood up, and then jumped into the dating. Boom! A beam of light burst out from the cauldron. Jian Wushuang's shadow trembled. Then everything returned to calm. Jian Wushuang frowned. Is this over? The next moment, dating burst out a beam of light again, flying out of 3 bronze locks. There is also an old man with a white beard. He looks kind and has curved eyes. Sacrificer, which lock you just sacrificed? The white-bearded old man spread out his hand, and the 3 bronze locks glowed in 3 colors of gold, silver and yellow, corresponding to the 3 grades of gold, silver and bronze. I seem to sacrifice. Jian Wushuang was about to blurt out, but then stopped abruptly. He originally wanted to say that it was a sacrificial body, but then he thought about it. Since he had given him 3 treasures, then he had no other choice but to choose one from the 3. Senior, I sacrificed this golden lock. Jian Wushuang bowed and hugged his fists, with an extremely respectful attitude. The white-haired old man groaned inside. Oh, that's it. Give you this golden lock. The golden lock floated towards Jian Wushuang, with several dragon-shaped patterns embroidered on it. The power emanating from the top is extremely powerful. When Jin Suo touched the phantom of his divine body instantly radiated brilliance, and unexpectedly began to reshape a new physical body. Basically, the former is the same, but with the fusion of golden locks, his divine body is even stronger than before. Lock the dragon body. Jian Wushuang's body turned golden, and a giant dragon was locked inside his body. Just when he was shocked, the white-haired old man sighed and said with some regret, It's a pity that a good body is unclaimed. The old man can only use it for fishing with hatred. As soon as the white-haired old man finished speaking, a fishing rod appeared out of thin air in his hand, and a fleshy body hung on the hook, exactly like Jian Wushuang. The fishing rod stretched for thousands of battles, and was thrown under the magma. In a short while, a giant magma beast was caught. But the giant magma beast caught by the fishing rod became very small, and its breath was also very weak. The old man with white beard was very happy. Putting away the fishing rod, holding the giant magma beast with both hands, he re-entered the cauldron with a smile on his face. Only Jian Wushuang was left standing in the wind in a mess. It seems I missed something. Physical body. Yes, it is the flesh. The unclaimed flesh. Isn't that the flesh of his sacrifice? This old man with white beard, knowing that it was his body, even regretted in front of him. It was broken to the bone. Jian Wushuang jumped straight in place. Although the golden lock is obtained, the physical strength that can be increased is limited. which is not in line with the second-tier receipt. At this moment, the token uploads information. The trial failed. Damn it. Jian Wushuang did not dare to speak out. But in his heart he cursed the white-haired old man 10,000 times. Now that the trial has failed, what should I do? He is not dead yet. Huh. He was forcibly moved to the place where he started uncontrollably. This is where the dream begins. Everything went back to the beginning. He had just stepped into the second floor of the trial tower for the first time. The only thing that changed was that his body was much stronger than before. Part of it is exercised by walking 360 chains, especially the tenacity on the legs, which is very obvious. Another part comes from that golden lock. This time, Jian Wushuang was not in vain. Jian Wushuang tried to comfort him, but he raised his head and looked forward. There were countless chains in all directions, and Jian Wushuang's heart to die. All the treasure points are spent, and now I have to bite the bullet and walk all the way to the dark. Fortunately, his first experience, coupled with his firm will and a strong mood, did not make him fall apart. It just wasted more than 100 years of time. Chapter 5284. The flow velocity in the demon suppression pillar was very slow, and at the same time, the outside world was on the Mayan mountain. The Fourth Order Emperor all reached halfway up the mountain and confronted the clone of the mountain monarch. Hundreds of Tier 4 emperors faced off against hundreds of Tier 4 clones. And the closer these clones are to the top of the mountain, the strength will increase by 1 point. The fighting between the two sides was extremely fierce. The Shanjun himself, who was tied to the suppressing demon pillar, didn't care about it. Now he is only related to Jian Wushuang's trial in the trial tower. I didn't care about the rest of the matter, so that many clones had fallen and ignored them. Inside the trial tower, Jian Wushuang's figure dangled on the chains. His figure was small, and it was very different from those giant magma beasts. Call. When he stepped on the altar again, he had a kind of relief. The sacrifice ceremony is the same as before. Only this time he became more calm. At the end of the ceremony, Jian Wushuang started to get a little excited as he watched his body enter the cauldron. This time, no matter what treasure the old man with white beard took out, he insisted that the sacrifice was the flesh, not the other. Are you sure what you sacrificed was a physical body? Young man. Jian Wu's double-faced color was firm, and when he was about to confirm again, there was a calm voice in his ears. Choose a silver lock. This voice. He is very familiar. It is the mountain monarch in the copper furnace. How come? Jian Wushuang's eyes shrank, and Shanjun's voice came again, telling him the secrets of the second layer. It turns out that the 3 locks in Baibeard's hands are a kind of treasure. The golden lock obtained earlier is just one of them. Used alone, the gain is very small, but after the 3 are combined, the gain is very huge. At that time, his physical power will increase by 1 level, and then when he sacrifices the physical body, he will get 2 identical physical bodies, if he chooses the physical body. When the 2 are superimposed, they will undergo earth-shaking changes through the refining of the cosmic copper furnace. I choose silver lock. Jian Wushuang quickly changed his words. He believed half of Shanjun's words, and it took only 100 years. Even if Shanjun cheated him, he wouldn't do any harm. The white-bearded old man raised his eyebrows and looked a little displeased, looking at the top of the altar. However, Jian Wushuang had already chosen, and he couldn't say anything. He just changed his normal, snorted coldly, and threw the silver lock to Jian Wushuang. The first golden lock, the second silver lock, the third bronze lock, and the 4th time is the flesh. Jian Wushuang looked at the chain under his feet. He still had a long way to go. Fortunately, the soul is strong, otherwise it must be crazy. But there was one thing that surprised him. The first time he walked for 100 years, the second time didn't take so much time. Less for the third time. This is related to his physical ascent. It's just that his 10,000-fold divine body is augmented by foreign objects and can't be maintained for too long. If the basic divine body is tens of thousands of times, it will be fine. Half of the power of the origin is concentrated on the divine body, and the rest is the tempered physical body. This kind of pressure is always destroying Jian Wushuang's will. He finally got 3 locks, and his whole person was a lot weaker. Shanjun really didn't lie to me. The 3 giant dragons in his body wandered in his veins, and his body was dozens of times stronger than before. If he chooses the physical body for the first time, then he can only obtain the first physical body. And the 2 are superimposed. That is, it has been doubled several times. But now is different. Once the 2 overlap, it will be far more than before, hundreds of times higher. You choose the physical body. The 4th time. Before Jian Wushuang spoke, the white-bearded old man asked the question first. Yes. Jian Wushuang's heart moved, feeling a little uncomfortable. The more the old man looked, the less he looked like a good person. Will you cheat him? Humph. The white-haired old man snorted coldly. Young people, don't listen to what some people say. The road is narrow, but it's not good. The old man with white beard disappeared after leaving a word. Only a physical body was left. When Jian Wushuang was teleported away again, he reunited his body again. The 2 fleshy bodies are exactly the same, just like a reenactment. The strength is also equal. After leaving the trial tower, Jian Wushuang still couldn't believe it. The body obtained in the past was a dead thing, or just a simple body. But he didn't expect that the physical body he obtained could contain the divine body and origin, which was equivalent to his another divine body. I have seen the deity. I have seen a clone. The 2 clasped each other's fists, with average smiles on their faces. If he didn't know it in his heart, he couldn't tell who was the deity or the clone. With a heart move, the 2 instantly opened the distance, then suddenly made a fist and blasted out with all their strength. Bump. Hand-to-hand combat. The 2 fisted and fought against each other with hundreds of moves in a row. Call. After separating again, Jian Wushuang's deity nodded. Perfect strength. The power of each punch is comparable to that of a half-step emperor. With the tens of thousands of times the divine body, plus the physical body, he can be comparable to the half-step emperor. If the source is added, his combat power will be stronger. Wanqing Tiandi would not be his opponent either. In fact, at the beginning, he had another purpose in choosing the physical body, and that was the beast warrior. Once the beast god arms are integrated, his beast god realm will be stronger, and he will exceed 10,000 times the god body by then. Once the body cannot bear it, it will seriously affect his divine body. He had already planned the future route. The origin is invincible. No one is stronger than him. The existence of Ji Dao is enough to make the vertical and horizontal of the same level. The rest is the divine body route. With the candle dragon, his spatial origin will also get twice the result with half the effort, and the spatial origin corresponds to the improvement of the realm in the future. The second feature is the increase in the divine body. He must obtain which of the beasts and magical weapons in tearing the sky. Even if he pays a huge price, he must obtain it. The 3 are in one. Once the old man with horns succeeds in refining him, and regathers the origin of the space, the realm of beast gods will rise to a new level. At that time, once all of them are used, his divine body will exceed 10,000 times. This is the way he wants to go. Wow! The cosmic copper furnace emits a cloud of black mist, transforming into a mountain monarch. Yes, the perfect lock dragon tendons are still 2 pairs. With a smile on Shanjun's mouth, he glanced at Jian Wushuang very satisfied. Jian Wushuang was too late to think about it at the moment, so he bowed immediately. This time, Shanjun helped him a lot, no less than a special chance. If there is no mountain monarch, this trial will not be so complete. Shanjun smiled and said, "You don't need to thank me, or that sentence, this is what you deserve." Without the guidance of the seniors, the juniors would not be able to obtain such perfect veins. Jian Wushuang, although he has a sudden change in his mood, he can still be seen clearly by people who are good to him. After this cause and effect, no matter what, if there is a chance in the future, he will return it. By the way, I have to remind you that after the first 3 basic trials, you may stay in the trial tower for the next 6 times, so be prepared. Chapter 5285. Shanjun reminded. Always there. Doesn't it mean that after every trial, you will enter the cosmic copper furnace? Jian Wushuang was a little surprised. This has only been a few hundred years, and he has maintained a 10,000-fold divine body, and he feels exhausted. The next 6 floors will take thousands of years, even 10,000 years. This kind of high-strength tempered body, he was really afraid that he couldn't stand it. Don't be too nervous. With your current strength, you can probably handle the 6th level. You can barely refine your supergrade body. You may not go to the last 3 levels. Jian Wushuang nodded. Although he was a little unconvinced, he knew his strength best. With this increase in the difficulty of the trial, the 6th layer is really his limit. What kind of identity the mountain monarch is, he is the demon master suppressed here. I don't know how much strength is stronger than those peak emperors. I am afraid that the ultimate emperor of their primitive universe is not as powerful as the mountain monarch. Such a character's comment he naturally believes. But everything has changed. I hope that in the next time, he will undergo a real transformation. Enter the universe copper furnace for the 2nd time. This time it was one day, and 2 identical physical bodies wanted to fuse together, which was much more difficult than the previous heavens. The tempering time is also very long. It's just that when he walked out again this time, his physical body had reached the most precious level. This is just the degree of tenacity. The explosive power of the flesh is also strong and terrifying. Cooperate with the divine body. Perfectly display all your strengths. One punch can destroy the world. The close combat in the future will not be his shortcoming, but rather his strength. Kendo. The ultimate way to kill. Attack can destroy all enemies, and can crush the void with fists, suppressing the world. The road to invincibility. The road is bright. And Jian Wushuang is now more convinced that he didn't choose the wrong one. After the 3rd level, as Shanjun said, he never came out again. However, the 3rd level of tempering was also the most special trial he received, but he felt that this trial was very simple. An extremely tough spar was made into a piece of scale armor by him. He used it for 780 years. In these 780 years, the 3rd floor he was on was like a larger cosmic copper furnace. In the hottest void, he survived for more than 700 years. Created a piece of scale armor. What he got was a pair of palms covered with scales. Each piece of scale armor is as tough as the innate treasure, and there is a power on it. Without the blessing of the source, there is the power of the innate treasure. The 4th floor begins. Even on the 5th and 6th floors, he was changing the general way to temper the scales, until he was covered with black scale armor. These scales are like living creatures, do whatever they want. Once all unfolded, Jian Wushuang's whole person turned into a scaled behemoth, full of battles. On the palm of his hand, the sharp fingertips shine brightly. 7,000 years. He struggled through the 6th floor. In fact, on the 5th layer, he tempered the whole Bodis scale armor. The space on the 6th floor is a huge ancient hall, and the huge cosmic bronze furnace is placed in the main hall. It's just that Shanjun did not appear this time. He spent 100 years alone in the cosmic copper furnace, before he completely inlaid his whole body, with scales on his flesh. Super quality flesh. It's finished, but it hasn't reached the realm of consummation. Wagging the tail that grew behind him, Jian Wushuang felt that he was just a man-made ancient alien species. A giant beast that has traveled from ancient times. The nostrils are faintly gasping, just 2 air columns. The body shape shrinks and only the height is changed. Every bone in the body is extremely symmetrical. Standing there, he was like a big mountain, unshakable. Is this a super product? Slightly clenched a fist. The powerful force made such a stable space tremble with ripples. The mere burst of power gave him the power of a half-step emperor. Breaking the law with strength is not just talking. The key is that he has the ultimate path of the origin of all things. Adding the 2 together in the world, who else could be his opponent? Even if Wan Xing had imitation of the eternal treasure, he was confident and beat him with a punch. And he even had the urge to crush the innate treasure. The innate treasure that even the emperor could not easily destroy was like a plaything in his eyes. He held a spherical congenital treasure in his hand, burst out with all his strength, pinched it in the palm of his hand, and even left a strip of marks on the top. Eventually a few cracks appeared on the top. This is his current physical strength. Huh. The bottom of my heart sank and moved slightly. The scales receded and turned into a human figure again. It's time to leave. The 7th floor is a threshold that he cannot cross. He took out the token and moved directly out of the trial tower. Now his physical body has reached the supergrade level, and he has reached the level of the 9th refining consummation. Too difficult. He was able to pass the first 6 levels smoothly, and the 6th refining consummation was due to the secret help of Lord Shan. Especially the Sualong Meridian. After leaving the trial tower, Jian Wushuang ushered in an unprecedented sense of ease. Senior. The mountain monarch above the copper furnace of the universe had already appeared, as if waiting for Jian Wushuang. Yes, what you should inherit is the flesh of Thunder's veins, with very strong speed and toughness. Shan Jun commented. Jian Wushuang smiled and said, everything can't be hidden from the predecessors, but I know the Thunder's veins. Not much, especially the clone. It had just been tempered, and he really didn't understand it deeply. The speed and tenacity of Thunder's body are far superior to other supergrade bodies. But in the subbody, there are some differences. To be precise, his clone cannot be counted as an individual. But split shadows swish swish. Hundreds of shadows sprang from Jian Wushuang's body, each in the form of a different beast. In the form of a different animal, his clone is extremely strong. Especially it fits very well with the beasts. If this is not the case, he might not be so smooth on the 6th floor. The origin of the Thunder line has a subtle connection with the Space Beast God, which makes sense. The more benefits the Beast Warriors bring to him, the more he desires a complete Beast Warrior. It's a pity that the Beast soldiers were broken at the beginning. There are countless accessories, and now he only has wings and candle dragon eyes. Also known as the claw of the candle dragon on the tearing sky hand. These are only 3. The real core is the breastplate of the candle dragon, and the heart of the beast at the core. This is the core of candle dragon. The old man with horns once said that a great divine lord had once killed the same rank with the help of the beast warrior candle dragon. The complete candle dragon is very suitable for the powerhouse who walks the divine body space. Under the real explosion, tens of thousands of times the power of the divine body can even exceed the ultimate existence. This is how terrible it is. But what is even more terrifying is that such a powerful treasure was actually shattered. Jian Wushuang was not only embarrassed, but the treasure would be broken. What happened in the era of Qixin? Perhaps only the core layer of the Temple of Qixin knew about it. Chapter 5286. The musical notes surrounded by all directions make people intoxicated. The origin of the universe on the magic pillar is shining. After Jian Wushuang followed Shanjun out of the demon suppression pillar, the beast god domain also stopped operating at this moment. Thousands of years of precipitation have caused Jian Wushuang's momentum to undergo tremendous changes from the past, especially the physical changes. In the past, the world was like the earth, just a phantom. Now after the body is consummation, it can be easily taken off to become the strongest body, transforming into the form of a strange beast. Senior Shanjun, the origin of this mountaintop. Jian Wushuang looked at the origin of the universe like a galaxy, yearning for him, and intoxicated. This is simply too beautiful. This scene, he has seen in the cosmic copper furnace, is extremely magnificent, and it is many times stronger than Emperor Canyon. Even the tens of thousands of kendo origins he captured outside Qiuhuang City couldn't compare to the trace at this time. Too strong. Shanjun's body, an evil behemoth, with a huge head held high, also looked at the sky. This is the origin of the universe, the origin comparable to your original universe. Jian Wushuang was shocked. Compared to the original universe, how powerful the original universe is, it has bred countless realms, and the universe of unknowingly many powerful people was born. Its origin is the foundation of all realms. Controlling the realm can free the emperor from change. What if the universe? Jian Wushuang didn't dare to imagine that such a powerful source was simply beyond his reach. The origin in the cosmic copper furnace, although the aura is the same, but the scale is very different. Jian Wushuang, you are still a long way away. In fact, there is no need to be loyal to the flesh. Shan Jun unexpectedly persuaded him. If you let other people see it, it will definitely feel incredible. The devouring demon lord, with the top strength of tier 6, would actually take care of Jian Wushuang, the Dian immortal, and always remind him. Jian Wushuang was also a little flattered, and didn't know how to answer for a while. Your origin is very powerful, but your divine body is so. Although you have the blessing of foreign treasures, this is not a long-term solution. Now you should be focused on the Tao, and continuously expand the advantages of the origin. It is not difficult for you to be in the Temple of Qishan. You will know in the future. The difficulty is the expansion of the origin. Shan Jun saw through Jian Wushuang from the beginning. Although he could not see the existence of Ji Dao, he could also guess that Jian Wushuang was the ultimate way, by observing the strong origin of Jian Wushuang. As the ultimate way of existence, instead of strengthening the origin and breaking through itself, it tempers the physical body, and the divine body is also normal. In his opinion, Jian Wushuang shouldn't be so unwise. Although he had never practiced before, he was once a major cultivator of Qishan, and there were really few emperors who were better than him when it came to the problems of cultivation. When Jian Wushuang heard this, his heart bounced, and he simply said his plan. Of course, what was said was only part of his future plan. Although Shan Jun had the kindness to know him, as a practitioner, there were some things that even his parents and masters could not tell, such as the existence of Ji Dao, the mountain monarch on the side. Listening to Jian Wushuang's words, his eyes turned, and his scarlet eyes were shining brightly. Beast God Soldier. Until he heard of the name, Shan Jun's eyes were clear. Jian Wushuang immediately showed the wings of the candle dragon. Generally speaking, there is nothing to be seen in the beast god realm, but the candle dragon's wings are the only pair. Wow! The cutting of space also means that the candle dragon is the master of space. Shanjun's pupils contracted, and after secretly calming down he said, "You said there is one more in the hands of another tester?" Jian Wushuang nodded and replied, "I guess the piece in his hand should be the claw of the candle dragon." Naturally, he also said the matter of tearing the sky. The only trouble now is how to recapture the claw of the candle dragon from the tearing hands. The old man with horns has already agreed. The origin of refining the beasts, make this ancient treasure once again great. Shan Jun's huge head turned, and his hideous fangs trembled. Young Samu promised to refine the origin of the beast warrior for you? Haha, this kid's vision is the same as mine, it hasn't changed at all. Jian Wushuang was a little confused when he heard these words. Senior, you also know Senior Clawhorn? It stands to reason that the two people should not have much connection. No. And the feelings are still very deep. Shanjun couldn't help but sigh. Back then, he and Yang Sanmu were also sent to the third prison. At that time, Yang Sanmu was just an ordinary fifth-order emperor, and he was imprisoned in the third prison because he offended the senior officials of the four halls. In the terrifying third prison, the life of the fifth-order emperor is in danger. If it were not for him, I am afraid that the 3 eyes of the sheep would have fallen. Little guy, your chance is here. Shanjun knew it. Originally, he planned to inform Zhu Qi to come and pick Jian Wushuang back. It seems unnecessary now. Jian Wushuang like him walked the same way. Now that I understand Jian Wushuang's plan, he is ready to help Jian Wushuang. He wouldn't help if he didn't know anything about the beasts. In his opinion, Jian Wushuang should practice hard. Breaking through the origin is the key. www.novel.com. It is a waste of time and resources. It now appears that he is short-sighted. With the blessing of beasts and gods, Jian Wushuang's divine body has exceeded 10,000 times. Very easy. If the physical body is not consummation, then there will be shortcomings. It is better to do it in one step now, and directly cultivate the physical body to perfection. In the future, you can follow the 2 paths of divine body and origin. The flesh is the vessel of the divine body, and the divine body is the vessel of the origin. One ring and one ring. Shan Jun, Qiu Huang and others only saw the second ring, thinking of Jian Wushuang as the first ring. In fact, Jian Wushuang is in the fifth ring. All the plans for the future have already been made clear. Physical body, divine body, origin space, time and even the universe. The lowest cost is the physical body. This cost is really nothing. The cost of the divine body is the biggest, and the rest needs to be self-conscious, and the treasures are not very helpful. Just like raising the origin, ordinary swordsman treasures can't help Jian Wushuang at all. They are powerful and very rare. It's like the wisp of kendo origin captured outside Qiuhuang city. It's very helpful to him. But that legendary sword fairy made Qiuhuang look up. The origin of this kind of kendo is a treasure that can never be met. It can't be exchanged at all. There are many treasures that have been raised by the divine body, and now they have been raised 3,000 times. He really wants to spend all the treasures. His divine body can exceed 5,000 times. But what can be done? The higher the base divine body, the weaker the increase in the beast god domain, and a powerful beast god weapon is required. The beast magic weapon is strengthened. The increase of the divine body has undergone a qualitative change, and his physical body will no longer work. To solve the problem, we have to find the key. Jian Wushuang took this step, seemingly useless, but in fact his pattern surpassed many people. Chapter 5287. This is also the secret of the ultimate origin, and he can make different changes to the path he will take in the future. Senior. Jian Wushuang was a little moved. He didn't know what Shanjun was going to do, but he could feel that his physical path might not be so easy to complete. Moyin Mountain on the mountainside. Although guarded by the Ion Tower, many emperors were injured. After all, hundreds of Tier 4 devouring demon lords besieged them. No one can resist. Wind and rain. If we can't figure out a way, we can only go down the mountain. Emperor Qishui couldn't help but said. He walked halfway up the mountain, and he was almost at the limit, and it would be difficult to reach the top of the mountain afterwards. Instead of following these people to death, it is better to take a step back and get a good understanding of the source, and you can get as many benefits as you can. The Emperor Fengyu is different. She has the eternal treasure, and can go up the mountain again with the eternal treasure. But these devouring demon lords can't be solved at all. It is difficult for her to walk to the top of the mountain alone. She can only rely on the strength of other people. Now the two are on opposite sides again. Feng Ye's eyes were cold, and he said with a cold snort, "Such a chance is right in front of you, Qishui. Are you afraid of death? If you are afraid of death, you can retreat down the mountain at any time. No one is stopping you here." She was also telling the truth, although she needed the power of others. But she really didn't care about Qishui. But now this guy not only wants to retreat himself, so he can persuade others to retreat together. This will not work. Qishui Walker, his small eyes turned. Wind and rain, I can't say the same. Observing the origin of the universe at such a close distance is a great opportunity for me. How can I easily retreat? But now surrounded by these evil beasts, I can't climb the mountain, and I can't rest assured. Practice, and even get hurt, which is not good for us. The two kept arguing. In fact, each of them is like Spiegel in their hearts. Fengyu Majuan wanted to use these people to help her climb to the top. Qishui didn't want to watch Fengyu sit down, and didn't want to be taken advantage of. This leaves some others at a loss as to how to choose, especially the pinnacle powerhouses in other major domains. There are also some third-order emperors. They are able to go to the present. All of them are great fortuners, and it is really not very willing to let them return now. But their strength is weak, and they can't retreat. They really want to survive. The first to fall is the third-order emperor. It is better to retreat and practice in the middle of the mountain. While everyone was still arguing, subtle changes occurred in the outside world. A devourer wearing a scarlet cloak slowly walked to the forefront, behind which were hundreds of Tier 4 demon masters. Next to him, there is a strange beast with fish gills. Although its aura looks very weak in front of the emperor, the perfect scales of the whole body give him the imperial aura, standing on the fourth order emperor level. Before, it's not empty at all. The two in the front were the external incarnations of Jian Wushuang and Shanjun. The external avatar that Shanjun fully condenses has a combat power comparable to that of a fifth order emperor, and is one level stronger than other clones. If it is on the top of the mountain, this clone can display 6 levels of combat power. This is, after Jian Wushuang turned into his body, the emperors couldn't recognize him at all. But he recognized the ion. The eternal treasure that I looked up to at the beginning is now embarrassed by the beating, and many emperors hide in the ion tower and dare not show up. These are the emperors of your primitive universe, Shanjun said. Jian Wushuang nodded silently. Shanjun slowly raised a finger and said faintly, "There is a dear family teacher." Jian Wushuang shook his head again. "Understood." Shanjun's fingertips flashed with a pitch-black glare, and an endless swallowing force burst out with one finger, causing the evil aura in Jian Wushuang's heart to tremble and resonate with it. At this moment, Jian Wushuang also understood why such a powerful and evil Shanjun had such an attitude towards him. "I am afraid that he is regarded as a kind. The chance to give me is not these emperors?" Jian Wushuang's heart was shocked, secretly guessing, if this is the case, he is really a little bit afraid that the high level of Qishan Temple will make trouble for him. Shanjun should know this, and he won't kill him. After the Ion suffered this blow, although it remained unmoved, many of the emperors suffered minor injuries, and the divine bodies swayed, and the origin was a little unstable. The terrible blow made many people make up their minds to go down quickly and stop dying, especially those third-order emperors. Although the Ion Tower weakened the pitch-black light column to 1/10,000th, there was still a trace of aftermath entering the Ion Tower. For those third-tier emperors, these methods are not weakened by their own resistance. I am afraid that it will be instantaneous. Will turn into powder. If the Ion retreats to resist it, it may be as weak as 100,000 copies. And if it escapes into the void, it may be even more. It's just that the Wind and Rain Demon Lord refused to compromise, and he just manipulated the Ion Tower to stay on the mountainside. Although Jian Wushuang was protected by a mask, he couldn't help being shocked. Is this the power of the top emperor? I'm afraid he will fall if he gets a trace of it. Such a terrifying existence was actually suppressed on the top of this mountain. The power of Qishan Temple can be imagined. The crawlers and listen. If you want to go up the mountain, leave a source of cost. This seed is not an interference. If you refuse, don't even think about it halfway up the mountain. Stay. Shanjun's threatening tone has not been concealed, and he has a direct showdown. This made Jian Wushuang couldn't help but sigh secretly. Strong strength means confidence. If the strength is the same, it might still be intriguing, but with overwhelming strength, the strong will not even bother to use that method. Straightforward. If you don't compromise, you have to get out. You can go, I can also go. Jian Wushuang secretly said in his heart. Shanjun has such strength, he will have it in the future. A cost source for so many emperors. This is a great gift. Inside the Ion, now divided into 2 factions. One is Qi Shui, and the other is Wind and Rain. The 2 old enemies are on opposite sides again. Qi Shui didn't believe it, and didn't want to believe what Shanjun said, but Feng Yu wanted to take a risk. If it weren't for these devourers to stop her, she would be expected to reach the top. For these emperors, the biggest crisis on Mayan Mountain is to devour the Demon Lord. Without these obstacles, by moving step by step, most of the fourth-order emperors have hoped to reach the top. Because there is no eternal treasure, the other major powers are also standing on the side of Feng Yu Demon Lord at this time. Those on the side of Qi Shui are still those who are casual cultivators, or representatives of some small forces. Wind and Rain, don't you think of me as a child, a thing that is neither human nor ghost. If what it says can be believed, you might as well believe me. I said you have the emperor's worth. Qi Shui Walker directly ridiculed. The few fourth-order emperors below don't dare to be so presumptuous. After all, this is the Ion Tower. Even if the Wind and Rain did not dare to offend the people and deal with them, They could still ask the other party more or less later, and could not make the decision all at once. Chapter 5288. Emperor Fengyu sat on the throne, his face flushed with anger. Okay. Since you don't want to gamble, then I will wait. Now you can go out. As soon as this remark came out, those who opposed it once again revealed embarrassment. Outside this group of Tier 4 devouring demon lords, they really went out, and they had to be blasted into a sieve in an instant. Wind and rain dominate. We are still considering this matter. Give me a little time to wait. Yes, it's a cost source after all. Even if you cultivate here, it will take several epochs. Many people followed suit to say good things. But Wind and Rain Demon Lord, as a demon lord, how can he be that kind of indecisive person? The majestic face moved slightly, and he said in a cold voice, I will give you 3 breathing times now. If you are undecided, I will personally send you out. In the voice, there was no room for negotiation. After all, there are still people outside who are waiting for a reply, so she dare not neglect. Hurry up to unify and verify the true and false. If it's false, go back if it's a big deal. After all, the devouring demon lord with the scarlet cloak was too strong. Although he could not shake the Tower of Eternity, a single attack could cause the Tier 4 monarch to be injured. They can't handle the attack by such means as tens of thousands of times in one breath. There must be a decision at this time. Can't drag on. There is no benefit, and there is no solution. It is a waste of time. I'm willing to wait. In the end, these people still compromised. Going out is a death. Staying here is a big deal. Chishui Walker didn't move on the surface, but his mental strength leaked a sneer. He also agreed. A cost source is nothing to his special life. He just wants to sing the opposite of Fengyu Demon Lord. This time it was a conspiracy. If the bet is lost, the storm will surely become the target of the public, and he will be able to stand up and preside over the overall situation. The original universe, the 5 pinnacle forces, except the ion, the strength of several other forces is just like that. Otherwise, Chang Shengshan would not take him to be a great elder. These pinnacle forces are okay to deal with those third-order emperors, or some small forces. They really meet the fourth-order pinnacle powerhouse, and no one will give them face. Wind and Rain Demon King is not good either. Once it retreats halfway down the mountainside, the ion also loses its importance. Not only will no one go to take refuge in her at that time, it will also make her lose her prestige. After all, she advocated giving a cost source. This is the origin of the emperor. It's still 10%, and how many years must be practiced? If it's normal, when is it? This is the Temple of Chishan, a treasured land with great opportunities. Losing a cost source here is equivalent to reducing 30% of the combat power. Fengyu didn't want to let them go out for this reason. If they fail, their collective strength will weaken, and people like Chishui Traveler will have a chance to take advantage of it. All this is one game. It can only be said that Chishui has the upper hand now. Once that existence says the truth, then the prestige of Fengyu will completely rise to its zenith. But for Chishui Travelers, it is nothing. He was a lone ranger, and he was able to go up the mountain again. And it won't lose its bad reputation, after all. Everyone has nothing to lose. With this calculation, Fengius decision-making has the greatest risk, and the most benefits. Chishui has the least risk, and the benefits are also many. Contain other people, suppress the wind and rain demon. He didn't catch a cold for Mayin Mountain, and he could rank first in strength, but he was always at the end. This road was very difficult for him, and the benefits he gained were naturally not as many as others. That's why he would oppose Fengyu Demon Lord and provoke him. Other people may not be able to see this, but Zhen Wuyang and Tongtian Buddha are as clear as Ming Jing in their hearts. Knowing that everything is a game, he firmly stood on the side of the wind and rain dominating. From the beginning he didn't speak much. After everyone had made a decision, Wind and Rain Demon Lord immediately waved his sleeves, and a Dharma body came out of the ion. Everything is going smooth. Shanjun was originally prepared to swallow these emperors, but with the existence of the Ion Tower, Fengyu Demon Lord and others all hid in, he had no choice but to guard halfway up the mountain. The two sides are deadlocked. There is no loss for how many sources can be exchanged now. What can these people do even if they get to the top of the mountain? They are not eating their rice anyway. But all this he did. Even in the Vermilion Bird Palace, his relationship with Zhu Qi did not stop him. If it's a trial of dying immortal, he can't help but mess around like this. Shan Jun held a ball of origin and nodded. He took Jian Wushuang and left here and reached the top of the mountain. Jian Wushuang also put away his deity and turned into a human flesh. Little guy, do you know what a real inverse is? Shanjun's deity raised his hand to pinch the origins of dozens of fourth-order emperors into a ball. I want this group of origins to be reversed to the power of the divine body, and even reversed into a group of flesh and blood. Shanjun said with a grim expression. Inverse. This is the Real Guard against the sky. The guards he had seen before were just shouting slogans. At most in a small world, it's nothing more than reversing some rules. But in the universe, if you want to reverse the path of spiritual practice, it is truly against the sky. Ha! Jian Wushuang was teleported to the demon suppression pillar again. On the copper furnace of the universe, Lord Shan's law bodies appeared. If you can grasp this opportunity, it will be the ultimate for 9 exercises. What? 9 lien? Jian Wushuang was shocked. Originally thought that Shanjun wanted to take the opportunity to blackmail those emperors, in exchange for some of the emperor's origins for him to devour. Who would have thought that Shanjun could reverse the origin, deduced into a mass of flesh and blood, helping him to complete the 9 refined flesh body. Wow! A large group of origins was thrown into the copper furnace of the universe by Lord Shan. This time Shanjun personally manipulates the copper furnace of the universe. After only a stick of incense, the cosmic copper furnace opened again. Remember, don't be careless after you enter. After all, this is the power of the Emperor's flesh and blood. Even if you are a super-grade flesh body, it is difficult to merge. Shanjun specifically exhorted. Jian Wu nodded with a double emphasis. Dayin said no thanks. This opportunity is no less than Huiking's inheritance. He will definitely rush with all his strength and merge the flesh and blood of the Emperor. Not only will the physical Buddhist background rise, but also his divine body will increase a lot. All this depends on the nutrients of this group of flesh and blood. Emperor's flesh and blood shouldn't be that bad. Jian Wushuang thought in his heart. If it is placed in the treasure house, so many of the Emperor's flesh and blood can be divided into tens of thousands, and one portion will cost at least several 100,000 treasure points. Great opportunity. This is the most powerful treasure since Jian Wushuang entered the Qishan temple, except for the beast god weapon. After entering the universe copper furnace, Jian Wushuang sat down cross-legged. The flesh and blood of the Emperor is like a ball of his flesh. Suspended above his head, countless blood vessels instantly connected his whole body, constantly feeding him the blood. The Emperor's blood, which is extremely precious from the outside world, is like a pillar of blood to him. Chapter 5289. Although the physical body had reached the state of immortality, he still felt extremely heavy pressure. This is the pressure of blood. After all, he is just a dying immortal. After a little suppression, he began to fully absorb the Emperor's blood. His physical body is constantly growing, and his divine body is constantly rising. Really? What to eat to make up? This old saying is true. This mass of flesh and blood made his physical body 100 times stronger than before. Julian himself was really not sure. It all depends on good luck. Although Shanjun said that he was still not sure. But the confidence to continue practicing is still there. Especially the increase of the divine body. The basic divine body has now reached 4,000 times. But when the beast god domain fully used it, it was still about 10,000 times. It seems that the current beast god realm has increased by about 10,000 times at most. Jian Wushuang secretly guessed. I just don't know. Once the beasts condense their origins, they will regain their ancient power. At that time, what will his beast god realm be like? The point of simply increasing the divine body. I am afraid that breaking through 10,000 times should not be a problem. Once the divine body has crossed 10,000 times, that is a qualitative change. In the past, 1,000 times was the limit in the big division. The limit in the primitive universe is 10,000 times. And it is also the strongest life that can be bred in the primitive universe. So in the long river of time and space. Moreover, Chishui Walker was born as a 10,000 times divine body. Is it still 10,000 times now? Jian Wushuang had many doubts in his mind. Just from this mass of flesh and blood, he can comprehend something. One drop of essence and blood was condensed by a fourth-order peak emperor. The weight of this drop of blood made him tremble. His body is so strong now, but he still can't absorb it completely. It can only be stored in the source. Carefully comprehend. According to his insight, the owner of this drop of blood is likely to be Chishui Walker. A drop of essence and blood can be gathered at the cost of the source, and it is so powerful. No matter how he absorbs it, it can't be done. Can't even hold it securely. Can only be stored in the source. Call. Jian Wushuang let out a sigh. Unknowingly, he has been in this universe copper furnace for 1,000 years. It's time to go out now. As for that drop of essence and blood, I'm afraid he can only absorb it when he has 9 exercises. After leaving the universe copper furnace, Shanjun had already been waiting for him outside. It seems that you are very confident now. There is no need to say more. Keep this state and enter the trial tower. Shanjun smiled slightly. The current state is indeed the best. Jian Wushuang was undeniable, an unrivaled aura. His physical strength had almost reached a full state, and the temperature in the copper furnace of the universe had become dispensable for him now. Of course, if he didn't use the beast god realm, he wouldn't be so relaxed. Yes. Jian Wushuang bowed, and immediately entered the trial tower. Qiu Huang once said that once he leaves he cannot return. Now that Lord Shan can re-enter the trial, I am afraid Qiu Huang will be very surprised if he knows it. Even he himself felt incredible. Why are people who are optimistic about him so weird? None of the orthodox figures in the temple of Qishan liked him. Although the old chauffeur was good to him, it was only because of the beasts and soldiers, and the old chauffeur did not seem to be a central figure in terms of orthodox. And Shanjun is another demon master who has been suppressed. Jian Wushuang shook his head. He couldn't manage that much. Since someone is optimistic, he won't let these people down. He doesn't care if these people are high-level people in the temple of Qishan. Inside the trial tower, when he entered again, he had a bad feeling, which made him feel a little palpitating. It was a breath that made him frightened, just like the breath he felt when he first saw Shanjun. Boom! After entering the tower, Jian Wushuang could see the world at this level. A world on the verge of defeat, or a planet about to be destroyed. The mountains and rivers are sloping, and the earth is cracked. The towering mountains are collapsing. The rivers are countercurrent, and the mountains are breaking apart. A doomsday scene. The cause of all this is a huge alien beast. Jian Wushuang's body trembled a little. It was indeed the sound made by the wings of that alien beast, which made people feel uncomfortable. Jian Wushuang looked more and more familiar. This majestic animal seems to be a mosquito with an enlarged body. A mosquito is destroying a planet? Can he be so scared instinctively? It's just a mosquito. What is the trial tower doing? Soon a short text appeared on the identity token. After Jian Wushuang watched it, his scalp was numb, and a cold sweat broke out behind his back. Actually, the trial tower doesn't care so much. Since it comes in, it has to be trialed. The trial time this time was the shortest, but it was also the most tormenting. Jian Wushuang would never forget it for a lifetime, and it is estimated that he would have nightmares in the future. Who can imagine that a huge mosquito stretches out its long mouth like an Optimus pillar to swallow the blood of his body? Now he still felt a sharp pain in his back. If you look from the back, there is a huge disc on his back with a dense pinhole-like hole on his body. Looks extremely crippled. Before he rested for a while, his figure was teleported again. The trials at this level are even more outrageous. Except for some pain on the upper level, everything is okay in fact. If he hadn't been able to bear it before, so much suction, But after absorbing that group of emperor's essence and blood, his physical body had changed. Can withstand the Lord without much pressure. This 8th layer is even more outrageous. A huge space is filled with countless utensils. It looks harmless to humans and animals. I didn't feel the slightest breath of danger. It wasn't until he jumped into a vessel that he understood that this level is not simple. After the whole person entered the vessel, the liquid in the vessel began to boil, and his whole body became very itchy, unable to bear it for a moment, and he wanted to rush out. This is simply too torturous. It is 10,000 times more uncomfortable than being sucked blood by a mosquito. When being sucked blood by a mosquito, what is taken away is the debris from the body. Make his body more perfect. And this level is to make his physical body metamorphose, so that his physical body becomes more perfect. Numerous nutrients entered the body and completely transformed his body. Jian Wushuang's eyes turned red. At this moment, he couldn't bear the great benefits, and now he just wanted to go out. However, the entrance of the vessel was now sealed, and he could not get out. With just a breath he fainted. I don't know how long I woke up again, and I was outside the vessel. His body can't move, he doesn't have a trace of strength. The treasures prepared earlier seem to be used in this way. Guai had to enter the copper furnace of the universe, and needed so many treasures. After the physical strength was completely restored, Jian Wushuang's eyes shrank to a single point when he thought of the torturous feeling. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.